Untirta,
Smart and Green,
Untirta,
Jawara,
Indonesia,
Tangguh,
Indonesia.
Tumbuh.
Pesona gunung karang, gagah indah sejauh mata.
Green building. Jadi dengan pemanfaatan potensi cahaya untuk mengurangi beban listrik, kemudian seluruh gedung juga menggunakan sistem building automation system untuk mengontrol kalau sudah tidak digunakan, apakah masih ada yang nyala, AC dan sebagainya yang akan bisa dimatikan secara otomatis. Nah, kemudian nanti di atas pusat komando direktorat ada sistem terintegrasi untuk mengontrol seluruh sudut-sudut ruangan. Kalau ada sampah bisa kelihatan untuk bisa ditegur.
Pesona gunung karang, gagah indah sejauh mata memandang.
Ya, ini adalah salah satu implementasi dari konsep grade kampus, yaitu sistem konservasi air, pemanfaatan air bekas pakai untuk diolah kembali melalui sistem elektrokimia filtrasi. Ini proses air bekas pakai ditampung di kolam bak, kemudian diolah di unit utama clarifier, yang akan bisa dipakai kembali untuk air wudhu dan air yang untuk siap dimasak untuk air minum. Dan yang paling penting ini didesain oleh alumni Universitas Sultan Ageng Kitayasa.
Gedung-gedung impian, gerbang penuh harapan, serta hijau taman.
Gedung rektorat dan gedung yang lainnya ini didesain sebagai green building. Jadi dengan pemanfaatan potensi cahaya untuk mengurangi beban listrik, kemudian seluruh gedung juga menggunakan sistem building automation system untuk mengontrol kalau sudah tidak digunakan, apakah masih ada yang nyala, AC dan sebagainya yang akan bisa dimatikan secara otomatis. Nah, kemudian nanti di atas pusat komando direktorat ada sistem terintegrasi untuk mengontrol seluruh sudut-sudut ruangan. Kalau ada sampah bisa kelihatan untuk bisa ditegur untuk dibersihkan. Ini ada tanah milik Universitas Sultan Ageng Kitayasa, dialokasikan sekitar 2 hektar untuk sistem konservasi air. Akan dibangun berupa embung beserta fasilitas lainnya untuk tenan-tenan, untuk tempat diskusi, tempat refreshing, didanai oleh Kementerian PUPR berdasarkan amanah dari Pak Presiden Jokowi. Detail engineering sudah selesai, mudah-mudahan tahun 2022 sudah bisa kita nikmati sambil menikmati panorama Gunung Parang yang indah sambil diskusi.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Saya Anak Sugianto, Direktur Pasca Sarjana Untirta, Universitas Sultan Ageng Kitayasa. Bagaimana kita tahu, Pasca Sarjana Untirta ini sudah lebih dari 10 tahun dan dipimpin oleh lebih dari 5 orang rektor dan 7 orang direktur Pasca Sarjana. Program Pasca Sarjana Untirta sudah ada 13 prodi, yaitu total prodi itu dari 11 S2 dan S3, S3 Ilmu Pendidikan dan S3 Sains Akuntansi. Jadi marilah saya undang saudara-saudara semua, ya, baik dari daerah Banten maupun dari luar Banten, untuk mendaftarkan diri menjadi mahasiswa magister atau mahasiswa doktor di program Pasca Sarjana Untirta. Demikian kiranya. Terima kasih. Hidup Untirta, hidup program Pasca Sarjana.
Atas nama pimpinan Universitas Sultan Ageng Kitayasa, saya menyampaikan terima kasih, apresiasi dan bangga kepada seluruh sivitas akademika program Pasca Sarjana Universitas Sultan Ageng Kitayasa yang telah mengemban amanah dengan baik sehingga prodi-prodi di lingkungan Pasca Sarjana Untirta terus tumbuh dari waktu ke waktu. Ada 11 prodi S2 dan 2 prodi doktor. Saya kira ini akan terus berkembang dengan baik sejalan dengan pentingnya kualitas riset dan publikasi baik nasional maupun internasional yang akan diproduksi dari kegiatan program di Pascasarjana Untitled. Dan tentu saja ini akan mendukung terwujudnya Universitas Sultan Ageng Tirtayasa yang terintegrasi, smart, green, yang unggul, berkarakter, berdaya saing di tingkat ASEAN tahun 2030. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Hello, good morning, Mrs. Lely and Mrs. Intan. I'm ready.
Morning, sir. Okay, thank you so much.
Welcome.
Sir.
Let's begin now.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Intan Sari Ramdhani. It is a wonderful and precious opportunity for me to be the host on this beautiful morning at the Sultan Ageng Tirtayasa University on Monday, 25th of October 2021. First of all, let us pray and praise the presence of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, who has given us guidance, happiness, healthy, and grace, so that we can attend and participate in this event without any obstacles. All praise and gratitude to Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the best figures of this universe, who has led us to the path of light and left the darkness behind. The Honorable Professor Dr. Patah Sulaiman, STMT, as the Principal Rector of the University of Sultan Ageng Tirtayasa, the Honorable Dr. Aan Aspianto, SHMH, as the Director of Postgraduate University of Sultan Ageng Tirtayasa, the Honorable Professor Dr. Soleh Hidayat, MPD, as Head of the Doctoral Program of Education at Sultan Ageng Tirtayasa University, the Honorable Secretary of the Educational Doctoral Program at Sultan Ageng Tirtayasa University, Dr. Nurul Andriani, MPD. And also the Honorable Mr. Kyle Tom, PhD, as keynote speaker. Last but not least, we would like to thank all of participants who attended the webinar today. Welcome to our great international webinar about educational revolution, teachers in the face of revolution. The webinar is organized by the Doctoral Program of Education at Sultan Ageng Tirtayasa University. And this webinar was attended by almost 1,000 participants. There are lecturers, teachers, students from all around Indonesia. I saw participants from Riau, from Aceh, from Kalimantan, Sulawesi, Ternate. Wow, such a wonderful. Thanks for your support. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, before we come to the main session, let's open this event by saying Basmalah. And then we will sing the national anthem of Indonesia together.
Indonesia tanah airku, tanah tumpah darahku.
Kalau baru kita mulai kelas pre-medikin ya.
Aku berdiri jadi pandu ibuku. Indonesia kebangsaanku, bangsa dan tanah airku. Marilah kita berseru, Indonesia bersatu. Hiduplah tanahku, hiduplah negeriku, bangsaku, rakyatku semuanya. Bangunlah jiwanya, bangunlah badannya untuk Indonesia Raya. Indonesia Raya, merdeka, merdeka, tanahku, negeriku yang kucinta. Indonesia Raya, merdeka, merdeka, hiduplah Indonesia Raya. Indonesia Raya, merdeka, merdeka, tanahku, negeriku yang kucinta. Indonesia Raya, merdeka, merdeka, hiduplah Indonesia Raya.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now we invite the Director of Postgraduate University of Sultan Ageng Tirtayasa, Dr. Aan Aspianto MH, to give the first remarks and continue to opening of the webinar. To Dr. Aan Aspianto, time is yours.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Rally, Mrs. Intan Sari Ramdhani, MPD, MC. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable Rector of Sultan Ageng Tirtayasa, Profesor Dr. Insinyur Haji Fatah Suleman STMT, the Honorable Vice Director, Profesor Kartina, the Honorable Coordinator of Doctoral Education Department, Profesor Dr. Haji Soleh Hidayat MPD, distinguished keynote speaker, Mr. Kail Tam, PhD, Maple Leaf Kingsley International School, Malaysia. Honorable guests and participants, honorable all the committee. First of all, before I'm opening this international webinar, let me discuss several things which I consider very important to be highlighted. Education is the gateway to a better life by fighting for the small things to the biggest things that every human being would normally face. In every era, there is always renewal in the education system. In the 21st century, education is required to be more and advanced and easily accessible to all groups. One of them, the creation of Industrial Revolution 4.0, in other words, the era of digital base. One of the challenges of Industry 4.0, namely in the world of education, is learning innovation carried out by human resources, in this case, the teacher utilities information technology facilities that develop rapidly in the era of Revolution Industry 4.0 so that it can play a role in improving the quality of learning. The challenge of education in this era is how to prepare teachers for the use of current technology and maximize the abilities that teachers have in using the latest technological equipment. Therefore, Indonesia must immediately prepare professional educators, namely educators who are able to use learning, because the ability of educators to use technology is one of the solutions to prepare competent millennial generation. Ladies and gentlemen, hence the development of information technology in the world of education is starting to be left to have a positive impact, because with the development of information technology, the world of education has begun to show significant changes. However, this technological progress is not supported by the progress of human resources that can be in harmony with changes in the world of education. Educators are required to be able to master the times for the progress and good of a nation. In this case, especially the world of education. Let me open this webinar by saying Basmalah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This international webinar is officially opened. Thank you very much. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Mr. Aan, thank you so much for the remarks and the opening of this event. Well, ladies and gentlemen, FYI to all participants, don't forget to fill out the list of attendance and evaluation for this webinar in order to get an e-certificate. Webinar attendance will be shared in the Zoom chat towards the end of the event. Don't miss it. And then at the end of this webinar, there will also be door prize for all participants. The committee will give a meaningful prize for those of you who can answer question later. Oh, Mr. Kyle Tam. Hello, Mr. Kyle Tam. Good morning.
Hello, good morning, guys.
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me? Good morning, everyone.
Yes, of course. I can hear you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, moving on the next agenda, we come into the main point. That is international webinar about educational revolution, teachers in the pace of revolution, which will be delivered by Mr. Kyle Tam, PhD. This webinar will be moderated by our beautiful moderator, Mrs. Lely Nuriah, MPD. Please welcome Miss Lely. Time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Intan. Well, ladies and gentlemen, in this beautiful morning day, okay, we can see Mr. Kyle Tam here. Okay, I'm Lely Nuria, the moderator of today's seminar. I'm very pleased to see you here and welcome to all of you here in this seminar. Today's seminar is about educational revolution, especially for teachers in the face of a revolution. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, our speaker today is Mr. Kyle Tam, PhD. He is an educator in Maple Leaf Kingsley International School, Malaysia. He has received his certificate in English language teaching to adult or CELTA from International House Belfast, UK in 2018. He is also as a mentor for speaking in judgment in Sultan Ageng Tirtayasa University, Indonesia. Before the presentation begins, let me inform how the presentation will be going on. First, Mr. Kyle will be invited to present the material. After that, there will be question and answer session. If the participant has a question while presentation, you can click raise hand symbol and Mr. Kyle will answer it directly. And the last session followed by conclusion. And I remind to all participants to rename your account with your institution before you put your own name. If you have a question during the presentation, you can write on the chat box in English or Bahasa. The link attendance will be shared in the chat box. Okay, so stay tuned and allow me to welcome the speaker today, Mr. Kyle Tam, to deliver his presentation. Mr. Kyle, the floor is yours.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really honored to be speaking in this international webinar. It's really a great honor. How are you, Layli?
Hello.
Hello. Okay, but before that, guys, allow me to really formally introduce myself. Selamat pagi semua. Apa khabar? I'll try my level best to speak Malay, but unfortunately, that's not my expertise, I'm afraid. Okay. But saya harap semua baik-baik sahaja ya.
Thank you.
Terima kasih kepada pihak penganjur kerana menjemput saya untuk menyampaikan presentasi ceramah hari ini. Dan kami akan fokus dalam revolusi pendidikan 4.0 di mana kita akan membincangkan bagaimana guru menghadapi revolusi pendidikan ini. Okay. I'm sorry, please forgive me for my terrible Malay.
No, that's good. That's so good. Okay.
I hope it's very similar to the Indonesian language, yeah?
Not really.
Not really. Oops, sorry. Okay, but thank you so much for the welcoming speech. Now, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here today. We will spend approximately an hour and a half to talk about this education revolution 4.0 that has been bugging us teachers, okay, all of us as educators, regardless if you're in higher education or you're a secondary school teacher, a primary school teacher, a kindergartner teacher. I think this is a very important topic for us to delve into to really understand, because this is an emerging trend. If all of us know that if we are leaving out of this equation, very soon we'll be eliminated from the game. And that's why I would really like to thank the organizer of this webinar to actually inspire me when it comes to this topic, for us to actually focus on educational leadership. All right, so without further ado, allow me to share my slide and I will be able to start immediately. But before that, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to set some ground rules, actually. Okay, I'm sorry, it's just a habit of teacher. The ground rules of the presentation is that I would love this to be a very interactive session. So at any point of time, if you have any questions, you please do interrupt me and I'll be able to entertain your questions. And we're going to discuss about that. All right, that's rule number one. And rule number two, it's also, ladies and gentlemen, I would really love you guys to participate in our discussions, because throughout my entire presentation, I will ask you some questions just to bounce ideas, because it's never one answer to the education revolution. It is a really wide scope that we're talking about. So I really hope that all of you will be able to enjoy today's presentation. I'm certainly very excited about it. So sit back, relax, and we will definitely hit it good show. All right, so guys, Layli, is it okay if I present my screen right now?
Yes.
Perfect. All right. In order for me to do that, I'm sorry, let me just share my screen. Right. All right. Layli, just to confirm, is everything okay? Can you see the screen okay?
Yeah, we can see clearly.
Okay. How about the floor, ladies and gentlemen? Can you see the screen clearly?
For participant?
Yeah.
It's very clear, Kyle.
Perfect. Thank you.
Wow,
All right.
really.
Thank you very much. All right. Now, guys, as mentioned, I am Kyle Tom. You can address me as Kyle. And currently, I am a international school student teacher, whereby I teach students of who are about to sit for the exam. I teach the senior years, and my expertise, it's on examination, whereby I'm actually teaching the IGCSE syllabus, which is by Cambridge. And we are facing a lot of changes in the recent year, especially when it comes to the pandemic. Well, having said that, guys, forgive me. I hope everyone is safe and healthy in Indonesia and other parts of the world. All the participants, wish you all the best. We are going all a very difficult time right now, and I hope that we will be able to pull this through, which we have proven ourselves we are able to do it. All right. Now, so guys, educational revolution is probably a very popular topic. If you are in the faculty of education, if you're in the field of education, you will often see this buzzword. It's very popular, right? It's very popular. Everyone keeps talking about it. The research papers are debating about it. In fact, they have also carried to another stage where we all are very interested on how the dynamics of education is changing. All right. So for that reason, I'm just going to move on from that. But before we actually talk about education revolution, let us understand what does it really mean by revolution. Now, revolution is something that all of us are very aware of, right? Because it means radical changes. All right. But most of the time we talk about political revolutions, correct? Now, for example, I'm not too sure if it's a sensitive, I'm sorry if I am being rude, the Indonesian national revolution, okay, that was in the history, in the past. And as for Malaysia, I'm very sure you're aware as well that not too long ago, we have a political revolution whereby Mahathir took over to become the prime minister again for the second time. And that's a really, really big change as far as political geography of Malaysia is concerned. But revolution is not only limited to the political world, but rather we are also seeing revolution in other parts. And today we are going to talk about education, which will affect a big part of our lives. Right. Now, in order for us to understand why do we need to talk about education revolution, it's really, guys, because of industrial revolution, because of history. Okay, our history is affecting this educational revolution by a big plot. Okay, and specifically, what are we talking about? We're talking about the first industrial revolution, where human beings invented the use of water and steam to produce, to actually expedite the production process. Right? And when this is automated, it still creates this economic disparity whereby they want to increase it, but that's only limited because it's just water and steam. And because of this, we innovate. Human beings are really creative creatures. We innovate and we created electricity. In the 1860s, that's where it became a boom. Production process becomes so effective and efficient because of electricity that the economic of the world actually improved drastically. But guys, still not enough, okay? As much as we would rely on electricity, we still have some problems, such as manpower. And because of manpower problem, we continue to innovate. And in the 1900s, we get to see the creation of computers, whereby we are automating the production process. Sounds good, right? Guys, this is not too long ago, 1900s, okay? It might sound like 100 years ago, but it's not too long ago. We can still see signs of automation. But of course, this is not enough. In the recent years, we have seen it to evolve, industrial revolution, to even talk about cyber-physical systems, okay? And when it comes to this, that's the trick, whereby technology became so advanced that we are actually relying and we are continuing to innovate. We still don't feel enough, all right? Now, guys, all of us get to see that all these pickup, all this speed, all this evolved, how it evolves, all this evolution, we get to see there's a need for us to support it, correct? And guys, we have seen all this development. It is important for us to support these changes. And how do we do that? Education revolution, all right? We need education changes in order to support these industrial changes. And that's what we're talking about today. And in my interest, we are coming from the perspective of educational leadership, whereby we need to learn these changes. We need to manage them so that we'll be able to implement it And last but not least, we get to lead it. Okay, all of us, we are the Southeast Asian family, our Southeast Asian countries, and we are all the Southeast Asian educators and teachers. Therefore, it is important for us to lead this change and not let the change lead us. Okay. Now, for example, I bet everyone here can remember when we started our lockdown because of the pandemic, because of COVID-19, all of us are pretty much handbound. Okay. But guys, we have proven ourselves that we are able to survive this war against the COVID, and therefore we are now leading. In fact, Southeast Asia is very, very good. In fact, it's one of the fastest picking countries as far as the online teaching is concerned. And that's what we're talking about today. We're going to focus on leadership. All right, moving on. Now, guys, what exactly are we talking about as far as the IR? Okay, sorry, guys. Moving forward, I will refer Industrial Revolution as IR 4.0 and education as ER 4.0. Okay, it's kind of confusing here, but I hope that you will be able to pick up. Yeah. So what exactly is the IR 4.0 telling us? What story are they telling us? Now, I'm going to show you some of the trends, and maybe as teachers, you'll be able to relate. Now, for the first one, cloud computing. Everyone, okay, guys, we no longer want to, all our data are all saved in our phones. Cloud computing, at any point of time you want to access it, you got it. As long as you have access to the internet, you're good. So we have things like Google Doc. Imagine how interesting education has become. Back then, I'm still using pen drive. Okay, I'm really sure, Layli, how about you? Do you use pen drive?
No.
See, no longer. Sorry, guys, I kind of revealed my age. Okay, I'm not that young anymore. I'm sorry. So what happened was we get to see cloud computing when all storage is installed or uploaded to the cloud so that we can access at any point of time. That's the first trend of IR 4.0. The very next one is additive manufacturing. Now, guys, this is really, really interesting as well. More and more schools, they are emphasizing on the creation, on design, on prototyping of products. And for that reason, we are seeing increasing amount of 3D printing machines, which is very, very interesting. If you see in schools, a lot of schools actually have it right nowadays, that they start to print designs, they create prototypes. Yeah, they want to build a house model, they use 3D printing. And of course, and the next trend here is augmented reality. I'm pretty sure all of you have seen the crazy goggles that people put on their face in order for them to project and see a different world. Now imagine, as educators, now we are able to transcend geography by being in the same spot, but we can actually view a different world altogether. And this is a very interesting. Imagine if you are teaching biology and you want students to look at the heart anatomy or maybe the brain anatomy. You get to actually visualize it and be able to actually touch it and see it up, down, front, back, right, center. Okay, it's very, very interesting of the innovation. Oh, yeah. Any question from the floor? I think it's good, yeah? Okay, I'm just gonna move on. Then moving on, we have this big data, which is another important trend. Teachers, ask yourself, if you have been teaching or if you have been seeing your lecturers in your university, that's that much time that we have contact with our students. How much data will we be able to obtain about the student? Is our student doing well? Is he or she facing any issue? We get all these big data in order for us to give feedback to our students and be able to improve our process. And we have softwares like Socrative, which you will be able to explore. I hope your schools have Socrative as well. All right. And moving on, we talk about autonomous robot. Now,
English.
Sorry?
Sorry for disturbing. Sorry.
No worries. Are you okay?
Okay, this is just a little bit noisy.
Okay, all right. Sorry. Okay, I thought that's a question. Now, guys, at any point of time, please interrupt me with questions, all right? Okay, and now, autonomous robots. Now, we have seen this in movies, whereby we actually see all these artificial intelligence helping people to resolve their daily problems, correct? Now, this is another major trend whereby we have things like conversion AI, which will actually help you type out the entire essay by predicting your ideas. And also we have, Alexa. Okay, Alexa. We have Siri for iPhone. We have Bixby for Samsung. We'll be able to just ask questions and immediately we get the answers, right? These is autonomous robots. Next up, simulation. Simulation is basically coming up with situations, allowing students to solve certain problems. For example, you are now tasked to actually sell this iPhone. How are you going to do it? All right. How are you going to price it? How are you going to produce it? Where are you going to produce it? We're going to create simulations like that, and it's increasingly popular in schools. Moving on, system integration. Now, guys, I would really emphasize on this one. This is actually my main thing. Interdisciplinary teaching and learning, whereby we are actually trying to be a little bit greedy, okay? We're a little bit greedy, whereby we want all subjects, for students to take all subjects and be able to integrate it so that everything come together to form a very wholesome perspective. This is what we're talking about. And I will emphasize this one in the later slides. Next up, our Internet of Things, the IoT. IoT refers to things like Blackboard. In the past, guys, I still remember my time. If you miss a lecture, you will not be able to get whatever you need, correct? And if you really need to get to school to get that paper, that notes, and etc., many different things, if you miss it, you will not be able to get it. Now, Internet of Things make it way easier. Wherever you are, just log onto Blackboard, you'll be able to get all this kind of stuff, right? Quite pretty similar to cloud computing. And the last but not least, guys, we are always worried about the ethical side of internet. The more it develops, actually, to a certain extent, we are kind of in a dilemma. We're not really sure if we are safe when it comes to the online space, correct? For that reason, cybersecurity is also a very important thing to emphasize as far as the IR and ER 4.0 is concerned, all right? So therefore, we have things like Swivel Secure, which is a very good security as far as education is concerned. All right, okay. Now, basically, this is just a very general overview of the trends, the major trends of IR 4.0 affecting the education revolution 4.0. Now, guys, I'm really interested to know, have you been using any of these tools? Can I see a show of hands from the floor? Have you been using any of these tools at all? Yes, Astrid? Yeah. How about the rest of you? Maybe you want to do a score sheet. Like I use 5 out of 9 of these that I can see in my school, in my university. How about you, Layli? How many do you see that you can relate?
Bu Astrid, ladies, raise hand.
Yeah, you can definitely raise your hand, just participate in the discussion. Right now, how much we are able to see, if you have been using most of it, congratulations, you are in the game of Education Revolution 4.0. All right, but if you're not to worry, okay? Because later on, I'm gonna share my experience using these tools, all right? Now, let's move on from here. After looking into all these tools, all these trends of IR, let us compare to what we have actually done in the past. In order to look into that, it have actually given rise to all these education revolution. We have education 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, and 4.0. Now, guys, look at this picture. Some of you might be familiar with this picture, correct? Whereby it's all about lectures and memorization. Yeah, we are talking about lectures and memorization. You have to get to school. You have to sit and listen to the teacher because it's very teacher-centered. Teacher talks all the time, imparting knowledge, and students are the one who just listen and actually receive knowledge. Very familiar, isn't it? Okay. I can tell you that I'm very familiar with this, not because I'm that old. Okay, when I take pictures, we have color already back then, but you can see that this is quite an old school, the old style of learning. But thanks to Industrial Revolution, because of this Education 1.0, we are focusing more on mechanical or very technical knowledge. We just go to school and get what we need in order to perform our job. This is the focus back then, Education 1.0. And before we actually move on to Education 2.0, congratulations, this is a celebratory period of time where we actually use internet. Thank God, all right? Thank God for internet that we are able to be more involved in discussions and collaborations. Students, because they'll be able to go on the internet, they're able to interact with each other. And that's when we saw a huge change in education. It's no longer about sitting in the classroom, but we need to play with computer to find the information we need. But unfortunately, if you look at the second point in the slide, teachers are still actively imparting knowledge. Very unfortunate. As much as that we are trying to use this for the good of education, still, teachers play a very active and important role here, and that defines Education 2.0. And moving on, we can go on to Education 3.0, where we focus on knowledge-based learning. Now, a lot of you are be able to relate to this one, right, Layli? This is the point of time where we talk about social media. We talk about be able to look for anything, any content that you want to look for. All you need to look for is Mr. Google. You no longer look for Mr. Kyle, Miss Layli, Dr. Udi. We no longer look into all this, okay? Which is sad, isn't it, Layli? Now, so as far as that's concerned, yeah, this is very knowledge-based. As long as students want it, they'll be able to find it. This is interest-based learning, okay? And that's when we start to see that students are taking a more active role to pick up knowledge. And when this is the thing, teachers became the managers, okay? We became the managers of students' progress. We are more concerned about how they're performing. Are they actually understanding? We are there to do the checklist. Okay, this is Education 3.0. And because of time, because of education, because of Industrial Revolution 4.0, we moved on, we progressed. We evolved to look at this, Education 4.0, which is the buzzword. If I'm not mistaken, ladies and gentlemen, Education 4.0 has been a heated debate. It's a very heated topic throughout the entire world, starting from the year 2017 onwards. It became a trend. Everyone has been talking about it, right? Which is a very good thing because now we are focusing on innovation-based learning. We want to innovate. It's no longer about picking up knowledge, but it's the ability to create things. Our students are expected to do that because that's what our Industrial Revolution is demanding us to do. So as you can see here, creativity, innovation, they are key. Students are is in the middle of the attention, is the center of attention, whereby they're expected to do this, to do that, to be able to create this, create that. And it becomes more interesting. And if you can see in school, teachers became the guide. We are like offhand, okay, all right, I'm no longer in active teaching anymore. We are just to guide students. But guys, the question is, are we there yet? Okay, looking into Education 4.0, these are the major trends that we are looking at and we're most interested at this point of time. Number one, that you can start to see that everyone keeps talking about it, project-based learning, project-based learning, project-based learning. And we can see it in your school, in your pedagogy, in your curriculum, in your university as training. No worries, it's okay. Okay, now, and as far as this is concerned, we get to see that a lot of materials have been heated debated, like how can we teach project-based learning? Well, it's actually quite easy actually of a concept to understand and to grasp is that we are required to solve our students to solve real life situations. And then students will be able to use various skills in order for it to work. That's what we're training them to do. And moving forward, we also have time-sensitive assessments. Now, guys, gone are the days where teachers have to build up all the scripts and mark. Okay, we no longer need to do that. It's quite automatic these days, just fantastic, right? Whereby we get to identify and rectify students' mistakes immediately, okay? Really fast. Once they click submit button, computer will help us to mark and we get to give real-time feedback and we get to solve it as soon as possible. That's what we talk about in Education 4.0. Moving on, we also talk about personalized learning. Personalized learning is more towards, ladies and gentlemen, I bet you will agree with me that all of us have different learning styles, correct? And all of us have different interests. And in the old days, nope, you just need to follow this. Okay, this is the syllabus guide you follow. And at the end of the year, you're going to sit for an exam, which everyone's going to sit for the same paper. And you're going to end up with a degree, a certificate or whatever, correct? But in Education 4.0, it's no longer the case. Very personalized learning. Moving on, remote learning and flipped classroom. All of us are very familiar with this. Work from home, okay, online lessons. This is very interesting, whereby we want students to be able to study anytime.
Mr. Kyle,
Yes.
the slide is not moved.
Oh, okay. How about now? Is it okay now?
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Sorry. All right. Sorry for the glitch, guys. Now, the next one is remote learning, flipped classroom, whereby we want students to learn at any point, at any time, right? And that's when we want them to learn at home. Okay. You pick up the knowledge at home. And when you come to school, it's all about activities. That's the ideal of Education 4.0. And the last but not least, we talk about technological learning tools. So we get to see that schools continue to invest in all these tools in order for students to learn better. Yeah, we have now used quizzes, Kahoot. Okay, we have so many games online that we're able to use in order to engage our students. And that's all the trend education. These are the major trends of the Education 4.0. Okay, now, guys, the question here goes, are we there yet? Can I hear some of the opinions from the floor? That you can give me some opinions. Do you think we are there yet? We have actually embraced Education 4.0. Can I hear from the floor, please?
Come on, participant.
Yeah, maybe lecturers can actually share some experience.
Lecturers, teachers. Come on. Are we there yet?
Okay, can I any question for you, Mrs. Key?
Yeah, sure. Definitely go ahead.
Okay. I will introduce my name is Tina Fianti from SMPQ Rangkas Bitung, Lebak, Banten, Indonesia.
Hello.
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
My question, in our school, I am a teacher from SMPQ Rangkas Bitung. My question is for the student center. That is, in my school, we can learn like student center, but our school, that is for manage the student, making a group to answer the question for the group, but the student for junior high school may be very difficult to manage because that is a children like that. How I can manage to our students in
All
our
right.
school for the student center. Thank you very much, Mr. Kale.
Thank you so much. Okay. Now, if I'm gonna correct, I'm gonna reword your question. You are more interested in like, how do we manage our students in this time, correct? Now, I personally feel that it's not that much. We are there to discipline them. We are there to manage them. But in the education 4.0, student-centered is more about leaving the task to them. Okay. Now, it's no longer handheld. That's what I feel. That's what I'm trying to bring out, is that it's no longer handheld. It's no longer teacher telling you, okay, you need to sit in a group, you need to work as a group, and therefore complete the task. Okay. I don't think it's no longer that. Students need to figure out what they need to do. And that's why we are guides. Okay. Think about it, the consequence of not working together for students is that they will find it a difficult time for them to actually finish the project, correct? And if they learn the consequence of that, don't you think it's more than learning? We are actually disciplining them to suffer the consequence of not being able to work in a group, which is something that I will be talking about later. Yeah. So I think managing, it's kind of our hands right now, because like what I said, we are guides. We are not there to, hey, do this, hey, do that. Okay. So, yeah. Because we don't want them to be puppets in the future. We want them to be very independent. And that's why that's what's emphasized in Education 4.0.
Okay. So we can independent just up to our students to make a group, to choose the lesson material for the teacher, like it.
Yeah, I do think so. But do you feel, now I'm going to throw the question back to you. Do you think sometimes it's us who's overly worried as teachers? Don't you think is that the case? Sometimes it's just us. It's not the students. Students are perfectly fine. Sometimes we are like, oh, are you guys doing it right? Because I, as a teacher in school, I will be worried as well. Are you able to complete the work? But it's perfectly okay. Sometimes it's just us.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Bu Sri. Okay, next.
I got to see Astri is.
Untitled. Okay, Mr. Kyle, Bu Astri wanna ask you. Okay, please, Bu Astri.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss Lely. How are you, Mr. Kyle?
I'm good. I'm perfect. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. So, before I ask you, I would like to ask you first, yeah?
Yeah, sure.
Have you ever been to Indonesia before?
Sorry, what?
Have you ever been to Indonesia before?
I've been to Bali. I love it.
Okay, but sometime you must visit Serang, Banten, yeah?
That's what I've been arranging to. I would love to, but because right now, I've actually arranged for a trip to Bandung, but it's not happening because of the pandemic.
Yes. Okay, Mr. Kyle, I have some questions for you, but talking about the revolutions industry 4.0, it's never end, yeah?
Yeah.
It's almost happens in many schools, especially in the secondary school or maybe in the primary school, yeah. And it's very crucial thing, I think, yeah. As a teacher, actually, I'm a students college in Sultan Ageng Tirta University, but also I'm an English teacher in the secondary school.
Same profession.
Okay, so this is my problem actually. Not only all teachers, but this is my special problem when I think it's students. Okay, so I usually use the technology in my teaching learning, even it's not industrial revolution 4.0. I usually use it, but when I saw my friends teach in the class, they still use a conventional method in teaching. Yeah, so it's not related to our revolution industry, yeah. Okay. So, but actually, we live in the urban city, yeah, I mean, and it also happened in the remote area.
Right.
So, how we can compare when we apply the industrial revolution 4.0 in the remote area, and also in the urban area? It's so different, yeah. It's there is a gap between them.
Right.
Now, when the teacher use conventional method, it means that they still do not know how we use technology, right?
Right.
Ah.
Unfortunately.
According to you, how to improve the teacher's ability to use technology in the remote area and also urban area? And as we know that the facilities is not support for some teachers, and even in the urban area, we still lack of the facilities to use it. And also how to convey our material to the students if we still use conventional method.
Right.
Okay.
Understand. Okay, thank you. Thank you for the question. All right. Now, if I'm going to simplify the question a little bit, the variable right now is that there are certain areas that we are not able to reach this technological means, okay, this modern means of education 4.0 to the students because of geographic limitations, which is the case in Malaysia as well. Okay, now I'm very fortunate. I'm teaching in the middle of the city. Okay, and I'm very fortunate that way. Therefore, I get to use the modern ways of teaching. But for these kids who are in the rural or the suburb areas, how are they going to attach themselves to the education 4.0? Now, unfortunately, we are they are limited that way, and there's nothing much we can do because there's no way we can actually pull them in, right, to the city and to actually study in the city. And that's why education revolution, it's what our governments, I believe that is also the case in Indonesia, is the case in Malaysia as well, that we start to realize the importance of this era. It's actually inculcated in the national policies. Okay, we get to see an increased amount of, right now the parliaments are debating about it. They are actually talking about sponsoring laptops to actually get internet connection to suburb areas. Okay, I mean, that's something that we can rely on the national level. All right. And then secondly, actually you're very ahead of me. I'm going to tell you later, what are we looking at in the future? All right. Maybe from that, Astrid, we can take this topic further. Is that all right? Yeah. When I tell you the trend later, like what we can do as teachers, then maybe you will understand like, hey, actually, it's not that bad. Okay. So yeah, I will actually take your questions later. Is that all right? Okay, perfect. Thank you, Astrid. All right.
Thank you very much. Okay. So is there another way if we still use the teaching aids, yeah? I mean teaching aids besides using technology. And is it called revolution industry or not? If we still using another teaching aid but not using technology.
I think it's perfectly fine. Okay. As far as the industrial revolution is concerned, later on in my slide, I cannot tell you yet because it's a surprise later. Okay, I'm going to give you the answer later, whereby it is not, students are not losing out in any manner. As long as we teachers, we are teaching them the skills as a manager of technology in the future, we are still okay. Despite, you know, we don't have the fancy tool of like flying our fingers and drawing on the wall and all this kind of stuff. Despite all these tools, I think it's still all right. As long as we're teaching students the skills they require to be the technology manager in the future, I think it's still okay. They are not losing out.
Okay. So it's
hold on.
We use it.
Sorry, hold on. We will continue later for the next question.
It's interesting topic, I mean, yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'll answer your question later, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, just check it out. Okay.
All right.
And continue. Okay, please.
Okay. To all participants who wants to ask question, is it all right for me to take your questions slightly towards the end? I'm so sorry, I need to move on first, okay? Now, all right, then, are we there yet? Okay, are we really there yet? Are we embracing education 4.0? Now, to my debate, I would like to say, nope, I don't think so. Okay, it's not a very ideal, it's not really fair to just say, oh, we are in IR 4.0, therefore education 4.0. We are in that, you know, we pride ourselves. As much as I would like to agree with that, guys, I feel at this juncture, okay, the Southeast Asia especially Malaysia, I'm speaking from the Malaysian context, I feel that we are not entirely embracing Education 4.0. It's for a number of reasons. It's because we have all these problems. Guys, like it or not, we are still doing what we were doing. Guys, ask yourself, we are all teachers, and be honest to ourselves. Aren't we walking into the classroom every single day and still tell students what to do? Aren't we giving them notes every single day? Like, okay, this is what you need to memorize. This is what you need to do. This is what are we going to do this week? We are still locking them in the box, right? Students are still doing the same thing. It's exactly as Education 1.0. Okay, now we are not willing to let go. We're still holding like really tightly. No, okay, we're still there. We're still doing the same thing. We need to realize that we are doing that. Okay, and I'm guilty. Okay, I'm guilty for that. I admit that I still do it because like what I told you before, guys, I am an exam teacher. I only teach senior students who are about to sit for the IGCSE exams, right? And if I'm gonna, the second problem is, so social norm dictates the importance of exams. Guys, ask yourself, it's something that we cannot avoid, isn't it? All students are expected to sit for exam. So that one paper at the end of the year, and they're going to graduate with a certificate. And that exam is so important, holds so much value. That's something that somehow, I'm not too sure, we, Southeast Asians, we cannot remove ourselves from this, correct? Always put so much value in exams. And the last but not least, guys, lack of parental support. Can I see a show of hands of parents in the from the floor, please? Any of you are parents? Yeah?
Yes, we are.
Okay, now parents, let me ask you, will you say, okay, son or daughter, all right, no problem, you don't need to go to school today, let's learn how to manage this change, how to create this? Are you willing to tell your children that? Will you stop them from telling, okay, exam, nah, it's all right, okay, it's okay, no problem, okay, we will be able to do something else apart from sitting for exam, learn something else. Are you willing to let go? Yes, Surya? Surya is very active, like very good, Surya. You are definitely embracing the Education 4.0. But I can tell you guys, because I teach an international school, in an international school, and I do the RGCSE syllabus, I observe and I notice that parents are not willing to do that, okay? It's all about sitting for the exam. And they are not willing to let go. And at most, guys, they will actually give students, their children, to go for like maybe coding class, piano class, cooking classes. They are doing that, but those are sidelines. It's not major. It's like, if you're free, have your extra time, you're gonna do that. Okay, that's the psychology of parents these days. Are you willing to let go as parents? That's what we're looking about, okay? Now, because of these problems, we are not willing to let go, okay? We want to reach out to 4.0, but we are not willing to let go of the past, the 1.0. And that's what we are facing right now. Okay, all right, so, sorry, I'm just checking the chat because I see a lot of you actually pop up in the chat. Hold on, guys. Okay, all right. Now, so let's move on. This is the real soul of today's presentation. Hello. Yes, Surya, you were raising your hand. Would you? I'm definitely okay for you to interrupt right now. Surya, would you like to ask?
Okay, Mr. Suryadi, please.
Okay, thank you, Miss Lely. So, hi, how are you, Mr. Kyle?
Perfect. How are you?
I'm so really well. I'm in this morning, your topic is very interesting.
Thank you.
In this morning, You are handsome, Mr.
Oh,
Kyle.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Like a K-pop star.
Oh, really? Oh, maybe I should
Yes,
audition
of
after
course.
this.
Yes, of course. I'm so sorry, Mr. Kyle. Just kidding.
I agree with you, Mr.
Okay.
Priyadi.
Thank you so much for Mr. Kyle. Yeah, I
Yes.
have been to Malaysia almost every year. Yeah.
Wow.
So I have visited to KL and Malacca. Yeah.
Oh,
Malacca. Yes, of course.
yes.
Or Penang. Yeah. Maybe on the future we can meet you and then discuss about education. Yeah.
Love
Okay. I will ask to you some question. Yeah.
Okay.
The first, this is about revolution industry 4.0. Yeah, 4.0.
Yeah.
So I think this is very interesting. So on this revolution industries, I think or very complex about the problem our education, yeah, on the future maybe. So the first problem maybe about climate change, yeah.
Yes.
Climate change. So it is very complex in our situation, climate change, yeah.
Yeah.
So how we can application to teach in our student about awareness on climate change? It is the first question. Okay. And then the second question, we know about critical pedagogic or pedagogic transformative. Yeah.
Correct.
So maybe you can explain about it. Yeah. To connect on revolution industry 0.0. Thank you.
All right,
Mr. Kyle. Yeah, I'm so sorry.
No worries. No, please don't apologize. I really appreciate the question. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now, Surya, Mr. Surya, I'm not sure. Dr. Surya, Mr. Surya?
You can call me Suryadi, yeah?
Suryadi, okay.
Yes, of
now,
course.
Suryadi, to answer your question, in fact, lately, I'm really honored to have such very educated participants today. I'm really happy that we are talking about so advanced. You guys are ahead of me. I'm going to talk about this later, actually.
Yes.
Yeah, you guys are very advanced. Good job. Now,
thank you.
Yeah, I will actually, is it okay if I take your questions at the end? Because I want to tell you certain things. There are certain trends that I'm predicting that I'm going to tell you at the back to actually answer your question on climate change. And the other one, sorry, and critical thinking. Okay, I'm going to take your question later. Is it okay, Suradi?
Yes, okay. Sir.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, now let me just take on this next slide that I'm talking about, that if we want to take on this education revolution 4.0, ladies and gentlemen, we need to not avoid this word change. It's inevitable. Okay, now I see the change at 3 different levels: societal, industrial, and professional. All right, now as far as this, guys, I'm arranging this for a reason, because societal is the most difficult thing to change, right? And we're going to talk about it right now. So what exactly are we talking about? Parents' mindset and behavior. We need to change this. Okay, of course, it's easy to blame on the parents. Okay, then.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. But it is the truth. This is one thing that we need to change. Parents, are they able to accept that their students need to have this growth mindset? Okay, which was the talk that I delivered last time. Okay, if you have attended, if you've seen me before talking about growth mindset, we have actually talked about that, how we're going to expand as teachers, as individuals. Are parents able to change their mindset towards that? It's no longer about, hey, son, can you do 1 + 1, 2 + 2? What is H2SO4? It's no longer about that. Are parents able to accept that? Okay, it's not about technical knowledge. It's about being human, all right? This is the very first thing, and it's also the most difficult thing. Guys, we're not dealing with one parent. How many students do you have in your class? 30, 20, right? We are actually handling 20 parents, okay? And all of them probably they have a pair of parents. We are talking about like 60 parents at least in a class. We need to change their mindset. And this is a long-term game, right? This is the first one. And the second change that we need to do is to focus on exams. Guys, we are still on the stigma that exam is so important. We're not willing to let go, okay? We have to sit for exam, need to get that certificate and good grades in order to prove ourselves that we are able to do it in the job. And that's what explains the third one, which is we need to change workplace requirement. Now, guys, this is very common. Look into any job advertisements, right? They will definitely tell you, you need to achieve, you need to have this certificate, you need to have this results in order for me to hire you, all right? Now, what choice do we have if the employers need all of this, all right? Okay, we need to make sure that we prove ourselves in terms of exams. And when we do that, what space do we leave to innovation-based learning? How much? It's kind of distracting, right? Students will be confused, like, should I do exams? Should I do innovation? Not sure. I don't know which one I need to do. I need to do both. And ladies and gentlemen, like it or not, we are actually multitasking creatures. We are able to multitask, but ask ourselves really truthfully, how well do you think we can multitask in this busy, with this noisy world that we're living in today? Maybe in the past, when we don't have all these phones, maybe it is easier for us to concentrate. But right now, how can we do it? It's kind of tricky, isn't it? That's why societal change takes a very long time. It's the long-term game plan, all right? So this is the first layer. And then the second layer is we talk about the industrial changes. Now, our syllabus, our subjects, now this is something that all of us will be able to do and agree as teachers that we need to innovate. We need to inculcate innovation-led objectives. It's no longer about, guys, are you able to memorize all the formula? Are you able to know what is past tense, present tense, future tense? Nope. Sorry, we need to enable our students to innovate things. Are you able to write a newspaper report and actually publish in a newspaper? Are you able to create a robot? Are you able to create a rocket that flies through the air? Yeah, so that's what we're looking for, innovation-led objectives. And moving on, project-based learning. I've talked about that earlier, correct? We want students to have real-life scenario for them to solve so that we are able to let them learn skills, which is what Astri and Suryadi has actually asked. I'm going to answer that later, all right? Project-based learning. Moving on, we also talk about assessments criteria, guys. It's not about the formula. Please remember, it's not about the formula. It's not about that exam that you sit at the end of the year so that to determine your grades so that you'll be able to pass and get a certificate. Yeah, it's not about that. It's about skills. We need to assess students based on their skills. Are students able to speak properly? Okay, for example, I'm an English language teacher and I also teach accounting. Okay, I'm also an accounting teacher. I teach business, right? And language. So I'm from a dual discipline. I'm in two disciplines. So my goal is that are students able to communicate? Are they able to sell me an idea? Are they able to sell me a product? That's what I'm interested in. It's not about, hey, what are the factors of marketing? What is debit? What is credit? Okay, no longer the thing. And then if I'm going to move on from here, the fourth one, it's facilities and technological improvement. Needless to say, guys, we need to innovate even more tools in order to engage our students to be familiar with the system. All right. Now, guys, I'm not too sure about you. My parents, whenever they are having like difficulty technologically, they will ask me, how do I look into Google search? Okay, my mom used to ask me that. How do I send out an email? Yeah, it's about engaging them with this kind of technological skills so that they'll be able to function in the future, right? Now, all right, some chat, they are having some internet issue. Sorry about that, okay. And guys, this brings us to the important part. That's something that we can do, you and I, all of us as teachers, as educators, as lecturers, we are able to do this, to embrace the change. The first one is to master technology. Okay, now we won't come to the point whereby, oh, how do I upload the document, right? We cannot be asking that question. It's really responsible to ask that. Okay, so we need to master ourselves. And guys, we have proved that we are all victors. Okay, to that, we are really proud of, I'm so proud of all teachers in the entire world. We get to conquer that in this short period of time because of the pandemic, right? Very well done. Congratulations, teachers. And then the second one is that we need to relearn how to teach. You would agree, right? If you're teaching online, it's no longer the same thing. How you teach online and how you teach on the internet is different. Physical is different. And earlier, the participant who actually asked, like, how do I manage the students? Because it's so difficult. In the physical class, all we need is to shout, oi, get into a group. That's what we do in the physical class, correct? Now, sorry, I sometimes I resort to that, okay? But online, how do we do it? We need to relearn how to do it, right? And moving on is this, to convince parents to change. I've actually talked about that earlier. How can we communicate that, hey, parents, it's no longer the same. We are now in the new education 4.0. You need to spend some time to convince them that times have changed and the learning and teaching has changed as well, okay? To convince parents to change. Very difficult task. I've tried doing it every single day, okay? Try to communicate with parents, but it's very, very difficult. And this one, guys, 4 and 5 are the two most important. In fact, they are the answers, okay? To what Mr. Suryadi was asking, to what Ms. Astri is asking earlier, right? Let's move on to that. Guys, you will be surprised that why do I say that even if all these students in the suburbs, in the rural areas, if they do not have access, they are still able to survive the industrial revolution, provided that teachers focus on these things, these skills. And educators, teachers, I'm very happy to tell you that it's no longer on what is 1 + 1 = 2. Why is H2SO4? Why is acid plus alkali is equals to water and salt? Why is it past tense? Why is it present tense? It's no longer about that. I'm very proud to see this. In fact, you can see that this is the hope of humanity, okay? It's no longer about the formula. It's no longer being able to memorize. Because guys, like it or not, all these will be taken care of by the robots. Don't you agree? Robots can do it now. Why do we need to do that? Now, guys, back in the days, do you remember the time when you can still remember phone numbers? Can you still remember? Ask yourself right now, can you remember phone numbers right now? Guys, I can't even remember my own phone number sometimes. Okay, now this is very interesting because we are so reliant on technology, because technology can do it. Yeah, why do we need to do it? Isn't it? And that's exactly why when it comes to sorry? Okay. Are we good?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So in the past, we can do all this kind of stuff, but now we're leaving to the robots. Please do it, robot. Intelligence, do it. Artificial intelligence, do it. So that's why Ms. Astri, Ms. Suryadi, is that it is not about how high-tech that tool is. It's not about whether or not we are able to catch up. But we teachers, we need to focus on these top 10 skills. I'm going to talk about a few of them, not all of them because of time purposes. Okay, I would love to interact with you guys, so I'm not going to cover everything, but I'm going to try my best, okay? Now, I'm going to highlight, in my opinion, the few that will be very, very important to our students. And teachers, we need to focus on this. Now, the very first one, complex problem solving. Now, earlier, do you remember that I talked about interdisciplinary teaching and learning? Yeah, when I talk about interdisciplinary, I'm talking about different subjects. We talk about project-based learning. We need to put students in a place whereby they need to solve complex problems. All right. For example, if we're going to talk about teaching math, all right, we're going to talk about teaching math. When we teach Pythagoras theorem, All right. How are we going to talk about Pythagoras theorem to them? Okay, we're going to talk about, oh, the side and that side, and then we're going to look into the a squared equals to b squared, all those kind of stuff. We're going to talk about maybe displacement. Okay, but in our school in the past, we only talk about Pythagoras theorem as a mathematic formula. Students don't know why they're learning it for. Okay, then when it comes to complex problem solving, we need to teach students to inculcate different subjects together. Right? For example, me. I am an English language teacher. I am also a business studies teacher, an accounting teacher, and economics. I teach a lot of subjects, okay, business and language. So when I'm teaching, I would make sure, guys, think about it. Are you able to communicate well? If you want to sell somebody something, you need to be able to speak. What words can you use? And when I say that, all right. Someone's a little bit excited. All right. All right. No worries. Okay. Now let me continue. All right. So when we are able to inculcate all these different areas, okay, I'm going to ask students, how are you going to do public speaking? What words do you talk about? What psychology? How can you use psychology in order to change someone's mind, in order to make that person buy from you and not the other people? Right. So we need to engage them in complex problem solving. All right. And Mr. Suryadi, critical thinking. All right, now I cannot emphasize the input enough about the critical thinking part, because that's what differentiates us from robots. Okay, we get to do all these critical thinking skills, okay, by looking into project-based learning. Put them in, give them limited resources, push them to the edge. We need to push our generation today, don't you think? Generations today are too comfortable. We are giving them everything they need. Right?
Okay, Cikgu.
Yes, exactly. We need to kind of torture them a little bit. Okay. Because
Mr. Kyle, sorry.
Yes.
There is a question. Is it all right to answer in the middle of your session?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. There is a question from Nuryati. She asks about the technique of teaching learning, which is suitable for students in Industrial Revolution 4.0. What is the step? I think that maybe the simple step for the teachers.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you so much, Nuryati, for your question. Now, I personally think that when it comes to teaching and learning, there's not one fixed question. As much as we teach our students to be creative, you need to be creative as well. So I feel that the answer to that, the style of teaching, it's freehand. Okay, project-based learning. I think that's what I've been emphasizing. Project-based learning is the thing. It's no longer about what's in the textbook. It's ability to apply your knowledge. I feel that is the most important part of students learning. For example, Nuryati, can I know what subject do you teach? Maybe I can give some suggestions on that.
Nuryati here.
Subjek apa yang kamu mengajar di sekolah?
Anak usia dini. Sorry.
Kindergarten.
Kindergarten.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, we have a very young mind teacher here. Very good. I always have respect for kindergarten teachers because patience is one of the things that I running short of these days because of pandemic. I'm going a little bit crazy these days. Okay, now for kindergarteners, okay, for example, kindergarteners, they are really young mind. In fact, we need to actually teach them in a certain way that will mold their worldview for them to grow with this mindset of education revolution 4.0. How can you do that? Is that you need them to go for experiential learning. All the time, kindergarten teachers, it's something that we cannot escape. We have to teach them ABC, correct? Okay. Now, when we teach them ABC, it's something that we do it all the time. It's about singing, right? We have say A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay, we sing, right? So that's the very common methodology that we have always been using. All right. But I would like to share with you, and I'm pretty sure that you know that the Finnish education system, Okay, the Finnish education system is now at the moment the top in the world. Okay, a lot of countries are actually learning from the Finnish education system, whereby they emphasize for young learners, they're emphasizing on experiential learning. Okay, it's no longer staying in the classroom. Okay, not saying ABC, and I'm going to point to the board like ABC. Oh, this is golden sands. Okay, the golden gates, right? We no longer want to teach them that way. So we actually bring students in Finland, they actually bring students out for trips and actually let them experience it for themselves, right? And all these kind of experiential learning give them a complex problem solving as well. For example, how are you going to buy food outside? How are you going to buy the ticket? How can you ask the ticket seller, how am I going to get here? You need to let go, allow students to actually do it by themselves. That's the complex problem that we need to instill in kids these days. And you will probably see it come across like a lot of students, if you travel overseas, you get to see all these young kids. They are so bold. They're able to ask you questions, correct? Sometimes they keep talking to you and they won't stop, okay? They are so interactive these days because they are well trained compared to sitting kids. I'm sorry if I'm stereotyping. My niece and nephews, they are 5, 6, 7 years old. Yeah. If you ask them to go out to buy something, they will never be able to buy things. They will never be able to get the information they need. They will never be able to conduct themselves well because they're not trained that way. Somehow, that's why we are not embracing somehow Industrial Revolution 4.0, whereby kids supposed to be able to solve that by themselves. And that's what I think you need to, that's one very important strategy that I would like to share. Experiential learning. Throw them out, let them be independent. I'm sorry if I'm a little bit cruel in this case, but that's exactly the truth that we're facing right now. Yeah, I hope I answered your question, Ms. Nuriati.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Thank you for your information for me.
All right, thank you. Now, I'm going to take on, I'm going to go back to this slide, okay? Some other things. Critical thinking, creativity, the ability to come up with new ideas to solve the same problem or problems that we have never seen before. For example, guys, I'm not sure about you, but this pandemic has kind of hit the world very badly. And right now, everyone, all education institutions, they are looking forward on what's next. They are working ahead of time. That's what creativity comes in. We need to teach our students that, okay? We're gonna present that. Okay, now the next, the next COVID-23, okay, touch wood, I'm not cursing, okay? I'm not jinxing it, but let's say there's a new virus or a new pandemic coming up. How would you solve it, right? We will need to come up with that. Oh, if you are an engineer, how are you going to change? How can you make sure that we have enough hospital spaces, which can be seen in China, right? In a day, they managed to build like all these cubicles. They just stack it up like Lego, and they're able to create so many more hospital spaces for everyone in a day. What we used to build hospital like 2-3 years, they'd be able to build it in a day. So these are creativity that we need to teach our students, all right? And people management, coordinating with others, emotional intelligence. We need to teach them to be very empathetic, very compassionate, which I think it's something very strong in religion, okay? And I think, as far as I know, I know a lot of Indonesian friends, they definitely have this, okay? Emotional intelligence, I think we, Southeast Asia, we are able to have this is okay, sorry. All right, we have all this emotional intelligence. Okay, sorry guys, I'm distracted by the noise. Okay, sorry. All right, guys, we'd like to ask for your cooperation to be a little bit mindful of your microphone, okay? I'm just worried if you have any question, that's why I'm very alert, okay? Teacher's instinct. Okay, now emotional intelligence have a lot to do with religion, and I think as Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, all these have actually done such a great job in helping students build emotional intelligence, EQ. All right, and the rest, okay, cognitive flexibility, negotiation, service orientation, judgment, and decision making. Now, guys, if you look into all skills, to answer Miss Astri's question, do you think they are related to technology? Do you think it relates to technology, Miss Astri, Mr. Suryadi? Not really, isn't it? So it's not how fancy the tool is, okay? It's not how fancy the tool is, but rather we are teaching them to be more human, which is the trend that we are moving towards. Because that's what matters in the future. In this education revolution, as much as we are trying to emphasize on technology, okay, we need to be smarter than the robots, and that's what we're chasing for. And these top 10 skills will help us get there. Right? This is the first layer of answer that I'm going to give you, because the very next step that we need to change is to be a polymath. Guys, I'm going to speculate that polymath is going to be a trending term after this, okay? A polymath is going to go viral, okay? All of us need to be polymath. Teachers, I'm sorry to say, we all need to be polymath. Especially, what's Kyle talking about? What's polymath, all right? Now, polymath, it's the ability, there's a need for us to be experts in various areas, okay? We no longer need to teach what we are trained in. For example, if you look at my qualification, I am actually an accountant. I was an accountant. I have an accounting degree. And then I became a writer, and that's how I got into teaching language. That's my thing. That's my background. And to be a polymath means that I'm trained to teach English, but I need to teach more than just English. I'm teaching business, I'm teaching accounting, I'm teaching science, I'm teaching psychology. I must be able to be smart enough and have the expertise and my research in order to teach all these subjects and let my students see it, okay? Because in business, right? In business, you need to talk. Therefore, I relate to that in English, okay? But guys, imagine that we need to, in the process of selling, okay, for example, I want to sell this phone. Okay, I need to first know how to speak to other people, correct? I need to sell you. Okay, this phone is really good, guys, selling for cheap, okay? 1,000 ringgit, okay, who wants to buy this? I need to be able to communicate, that's language. Next one, I need to think about the technologies of this phone. Okay, is how many cameras do I put here? How many megapixels? How am I going to innovate this? That's science. Okay, and then how am I going to get them to buy from me and not other people? Psychology, marketing. And then when it comes to math, accounting, all right, how are you going to make money out of this? That's what I mean by being a polymath, to be able to be experts in many different areas. And that's expected of you, teachers. You need to step up the game. Okay, all right, it's not a very easy thing to do, but that's what makes us relevant. That's what makes us the changer of this Industrial Revolution 4.0 and Education 4.0. But guys, I want to tell you the good news right now. Starting with a question, will teachers go out of job? Right, guys, this is the biggest motivation, isn't it? Now, guys, let's be real, okay? As much as education is a very noble profession, yes, okay? It's a very noble profession because we are molding the minds of our future generation. But at the end of the day, we still need to talk about being in a job, right? We still have a family to support. Okay, it's a really real talk. Okay, we have a family to support. We need to work. Okay, as much as we would like to concentrate on building the future generation, we need to have a peace of mind that we are not out of job. Guys, if you are able to inculcate all these changes, embrace all these changes and move on as an educator, I can guarantee you, you will not go out of job. Okay, that's the good news, guys. Don't worry, guys. All those kind of posh industries, look at this role. Okay, a lot of words, I'm sorry. Okay, but I want to point out one thing. Can you all look at the redundant roles? Can you see this? Accounting, accountants and auditors, we thought they are professionals, correct? They will never go out of job. They earn a lot of money, right? But unfortunately, guys, when it comes to education 4.0 and future, it looks like their roles will be redundant. They're out. Okay. They're going to go out. And guys, look here at the bottom of the list. Lawyer. Oh, sorry. Lawyer is going to go out of job too. Okay. And financial analyst, all this kind of posh professions, they will soon go out of job because they are no longer required. Robots going to do that. And guys, can you see on the left-hand side, university higher education teachers? Good news. Hooray. Congratulations, guys. Yay. These are stable roles. No issue, guys. We are able to strive, but with the condition that we are able to embrace these changes that I've talked about just now. And especially what? Societal, industrial, and professional. All right, now guys, I'm moving towards the end of my slides already. If you can bear me 5 more minutes, I'm going to finish my presentation. We can move on with the Q&A. All right, now with all these changes, guys, we need to embrace 4.0 is what's Kyle talking all this while, right? Now, but unfortunately, guys, we're kind of running behind the train, okay? Now, guys, if you're only realizing it now, it's a little bit too late, okay? But that's not so good of news. But however, guys, no worries, okay? After today, let's set our perspective a little bit further ahead, okay? Now, why? Because don't forget, we have 4.0, we got to look for the next one, okay? We have Education Revolution 5.0. Lately, you need to invite me for another session for 5.0 again. Just kidding, right? Right. So Education 5.0, we don't want to just view it like that because we are already this close to 4.0. It's right before our eyes. Set our perspective further, teachers, okay, educators. We need to be smarter than the changes can catch up. Revolution 5.0, what are we talking about? We will soon be talking about, this is the trend. So in the past, we talk about industrial, we talk about automation, we talk about cyber physical system. IR 5.0, Industrial Revolution 5.0 talks about human ability to work with robots, right? It's no longer them assisting us, but we are working together. All right. So looking into this trend, guys, 5.0, the education geographic, the demographic of education will change. All right. So guys, 4.0 is important for us to take care, but we need to look further. How? We need to prioritize human qualities. Again, I'm answering the question of Ms. Astri and Suryati. It's human qualities that we need to emphasize because somehow, I'm not too sure, like maybe they've watched too much movies like robots take over the world, you know, that kind of movies. I bet all of you have watched that before. So I think human beings are starting to feel worried that one day we really will be replaced by robots. So that's why Education Revolution sets this kind of objectives whereby we are more concerned about human qualities. Human well-beings, the well-beings of our students. Are they able to take stress? Are they able to solve complex problems, situations? That's why Education 5.0 was going to talk about. Next one, personalized learning. No one's going to go for a specific degree. In the future, it's starting to happen right now. In a lot of universities, they are actually offering interdisciplinary degrees, whereby they do no longer only focus on one area, but they're going to give you a wide area of so that you get to see a wider spectrum of the field. Okay, it's no longer personalized learning, and I'm very sure Untirta, you have something in plan. Okay, I hope you do. Yeah, I'm very sure you guys have this as well. Right, and the last but not least, guys, the emphasis on privacy, ethics, safety, and technological mindfulness. Guys, have you seen your children or any children per se on the dining table, they are playing with their phone as then they eat? Okay, now it's actually really starting to get bad on this and we're starting to get worried. So when it comes to Education Revolution, we are going to try to change this. No longer on reliance on technology, but be mindful of technology. That's the trend that we're going for. That's why it is not all about technology, not about the machines. Yes, it's important to engage students in the learning, but the ultimate goal is the ability to manage this, okay? And not let these things manage us in return, okay? So that's what we are striving for, Industrial Revolution 5.0. So if at any part of the world, if we are worried, are we able to catch up? Are we able to move? Are we preparing our students enough for Industrial Revolution? Please remember this. Yes, we need them to be very clever, intelligent with using technology, but that's not all, okay? It's the human element. And that's what we teachers need to do. All right, okay? So that's pretty much about education revolution. And shall I say it, guys? Teaching will never be the same again. But having said that, guys, start letting go. Start letting go of the mindset of education 1.0, which is what I always tell my students, guys. Your life is not dictated by that piece of paper at the end of the year. Yes, it's important. Okay, it teaches you certain things, certain values. You need to be disciplined. You need to study. Yes, but guys, there's more out there. You need to see the bigger picture of life and be able to adapt accordingly to the Industrial Revolution so that we are able to function as a society, most importantly. All right. Now, guys, that's the end of my presentation. I hope I've not taken too long. Oh, 1.5 hours, just right.
Yes, that's right. On time.
Just on time, yeah?
Okay, good job. Okay, thank you, Mr. Kyle.
You're welcome.
Okay, now, thank you very much, actually, Mr. Kyle, for giving us informative and this is very interesting presenting, I think, presentation which we ever have. Okay, so now, ladies and gentlemen, we are coming to question and answer session. We have in the chat box, actually, Mr. Kyle.
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, let's take one by one. Okay, first and foremost, I would like to honor those who have actually raised hand earlier. Thank you so much throughout the session. I still remember your name, Mr. Suryadi and Miss Astri. Okay, now, Miss Astri, I really hope that I've actually answered your question indirectly, whereby does it matter? Are they losing out? Are students losing out if they're in the suburbs, which is not their choice? Okay.
Terima kasih, Cikgu.
Thank you. Terima kasih. Okay. Right. Like Miss Astri said, okay, are they losing out because of that? No, because like what I said, it is not the fancy tool that we're using in classroom, but ability to manage change. If we are able to teach them manage change, which is one of the important trends, I'm very sure all of you have heard of lifelong learning, correct? We are supposed to teach students where to look for information. Now, I'm very sure Untitled University, it's a university, right?
Yep.
All your students must be able to find their research to support the papers, to support their research. It's not about like going for lectures and sit for an exam. Nope, that's not the case. I'm sorry, we're not spoon feeding you. Okay, so like me, I'm doing my PhD. So I pretty much need to work independently. And I'm going to be really frank with you. If I'm going to see my students, my current students, they move into college, they're going to get a shock. Like, what am I doing? Right? Guys, will you be able to relate when you first joined college? A culture shock, right?
Yes.
So,
right.
Correct?
Right, yeah.
Exactly. Students today, they're not used to it. So it's not about how fancy the tool is. We are preparing them to learn how to learn. Yeah, we're teaching them how to learn, and that's lifelong learning. So it's not about the fanciness of the tool, right? Then back to Mr. Suryadi's question, how do we teach climate change? Okay, now I think that's really interesting because I'm not teaching climate change, but I am teaching my current topic. One of the current topic that I'm teaching in school is that how can we make business that is socially aware of the surrounding? That's my project with them.
Of course, sir. Yes.
Yeah. So when I give them that kind of project, they need to figure out. In fact, they need to raise real money. Okay, I know it's a little bit sensitive to talk about money in education, but we have actually come up with all those caveats, and we have actually informed the teachers, the students, the parents, etc. So we got all consent, and we actually want to implement this project to actually get students to really come up with a project, sell the products, earn money, and actually contribute the fund to some charity work. All right, that's what matters. And it's interesting to get to look at the dynamics of the students. It's so interesting when you look at students like, oh, what am I going to do in this situation? Even to choose a charity, okay, it's so interesting. They're going to think about, maybe it's pandemic, maybe we should go for pandemic. But guys, did you forget about the orphanages, the old folks home? Yeah, so I talk about all this. They need to come up with all the solution. Therefore, I think that's a very good way, project-based. Okay, that's the first question, right, Mr. Suryadi?
Okay.
Yes. So very interesting about the climate change. Yeah? So
Yeah.
because we have to create awareness to our student from early, yeah, because I think climate change is so global, yeah, for our planets, yeah.
Right. Yes, we need to actually solve that as an issue to actually live to see the future, okay? Otherwise, we can't even see the future. We'll be dead by then if we don't solve this global warming. So that's why, yes, it's a very good focus. And I think that in order to teach them is really let them feel it, okay? Really let them feel it and really get them to experience that, hey, this is what's happening. In the recent past, we actually watched a documentary in school. It's a documentary about global warming. Really get students to watch it. And it's interesting. Students like it. And they are receptive to that kind of ideas rather than, okay, guys, what caused global warming? Because people are open burning. We know that, right, Mr. Suryadi? We don't need to teach that anymore. They know what causes it to happen, but what's the solution to that? Correct?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Suryadi. Okay, Mr. Kyle, we have a question actually in the chat box. Okay, this is from Anggi Riyadi. Okay, good morning, Mr. Tam. What are the requirements that need to be completed in order to be able to run Education 4.0 in school? Okay, that is the question.
Okay, now, Anggi, we are talking about 4.0, whereby technology is something that we cannot run away. Okay, so when it comes to that, as much as possible, expose students for schools need to invest in technology, and that will definitely be substantiated with educational policies. Okay, now guys, we cannot clapping needs two hands to clap. Okay, we schools, as much as we can do, as much as resourceful the school can be, we need support from our government. And I have to thank some of the Ministry of Education. I'm very sure in Indonesia you have your Department of Education, which will need to collaborate with schools in order to push for this. Okay, this is something that's beyond our hands. That's why this is more towards industrial change, the second layer that I talked about. Societal, industrial, and professional. Industrial changes that we need to push for, that we need to lobby for it. Because how much can we spend? Guys, it's not cheap, yeah? We're talking about 3D printing machines, not cheap. I've surveyed the price, okay? Not cheap. It's quite expensive at this point of time. But of course, economies of scale will actually allow schools to be cheaper in the future. But right now, it's extremely expensive, okay? So we need our government's support for this. That's first. Second, management of the school. They need to be aware of this Education 4.0. But unfortunately, guys, I can only speak for Malaysia, because in Malaysia, I'm not too sure, maybe you can enlighten me in Indonesia as well. In Malaysia, we have the private schools and we have public schools. Public schools are well taken care by the government, but private schools, most of the time is business oriented, okay? With students need to pay to come to school, right? And business oriented, they will need to produce results, and that will tie back to parents' expectations. I pay that much, you better do your job, teachers, correct? So when it comes to that, we need to consider again, like how can we make sure that the business is well taken care of, and how we can push people to not focus on driven by results. You get to see, right? Certain schools, they will show off. They will say, oh, guys, we have actually achieved 90% A star in IGCSE, correct? Some promotion marketing materials will actually give you that kind of stuff. It shows that the school is actually emphasizing more like, okay, let's talk about exams, all right? Not that much on the development of the students. And that's sad. It's something that it's understandable. We can't blame the school because, hello, they are also trying to make a living, all right? We need to understand that as well. But that is what the school needs to be able to balance. All right. So the management needs to understand as well. And lastly, professional changes. If we teachers, if you are able to understand the top 10 skills, the ability to become polymath, that's when we are doing our job, really. Okay. At the end of the day, we do not answer to the management. We do not need to answer to the Ministry of Education. We answer to the future of our students. I hope that kind of inspired you to actually do more than necessary to actually help our students. It's about us who's implementing the Education 4.0. The management can come up with strategic direction, but it's for us to understand what is Education 4.0? What should we do? Like me, I'm just going to do all this kind of interdisciplinary studies. I don't want to just look at English. I don't want to only talk about past tense, present tense, future tense. I don't want to do that. I want to look at more things. So, Anggi, it's up to us teachers. Thank you. That's the first.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kyle. Okay, so that is the answer for Anggi Riyadi. Okay, I think this is related to the next question, Mr. Kyle, in the chat box from Rahman Abdillah, that he asks about polymath, actually. Is it possible for us, especially we as expertise in many or several discipline area in the same time? I think relate to your question previously. Would you like to explore more about this one? Okay, thank you.
Definitely. Okay, now, guys, polymath, do not misconceive this idea. To be a polymath is to be able to derive many strings. We'll be able to pull different strings of education at different times. Okay, now, certain situations call for it. Okay, it's up to our design of our what do you call it, of our materials, okay, of what we are about to get students to do. Now, to be polymath, do you need 10 degrees in order to become a teacher? Okay, I can tell you if I'm going to do 10 degrees, I'll be dead. Okay, so I can't do that. All right, so big expertise is like what I said, is not be evaluated by the paper. Okay, now I'm pretty sure that there are a lot of ways that we can be experts in many different areas. Number one, we can do our own research. Okay, and guys, the second one is that I love this. Okay, guys, I think I am like a true student inside. Okay, because I like to learn and I sign up a lot of courses, guys. The amount of courses I go, you think I'm going to go crazy. Sometimes my CV, I can't even fit it into 3 pages. It's actually way longer, but because it's too long, I just cut it off. Okay. Now, not to show off, but I want to let you know that there are so many options that we can become experts in certain areas. Now, I'm not too sure if you are, is Indonesia, is it a trend? Maybe Untirta has it. You have short courses, what we call as micro-credentials. Okay, micro-credentials, a lot of universities are offering it these days, whereby it's a very short course. It's a certificate where you can actually study it to actually gain some exposure or introduction to the topic, and you'll be able to delve into it. Okay, do you need to be an expert? No, guys, no. Expert per se, not like, oh, I know everything about it, because you can actually learn with your student. You need to just come up with the topic. And in fact, sometimes you will be surprised that students know it already. Okay, I was caught surprised by a lot of students that they already know it before I even talk about it. All right, so these are the options for us to be expertise in many different areas. I feel that it's never lack of today. To be an expertise, to be a polymath, is not that difficult. It's how creative we are. Okay, like what I said, as much as we teach students to be creative, we need to be creative as well. And that we need to find all these ways to be that polymath, right? Like, for example, I am very, I have very long experience. I have very significant experience in book writing. I write books. Okay, so my resources from how to write it, how to outsource it, how to get people to publish it, how to sell it, where to sell it, oops, where to sell it, we get to explore all this spectrum, okay? And all here, we just need them to know that, guys, it's not only about English, it's about business, it's about marketing, it's about accounting, it's about math, it's about science, and all that. So it is possible. Yeah, thank you, Rahman, for the question. I hope I've answered that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kyle. I hope that will answer for Mr. Rahman. Okay.
Yes. Can I take more questions from the floor? Or do you have any feedback that you would like to share, ladies and gentlemen? I'm very, very excited to hear your feedback and your contributions, or what have you been doing to meet this 4.0? Are you scared of 4.0 or maybe 5.0?
Okay, for participants, any others maybe want to sharing experience? So Mr. Kyle, whether the Mr. Kyle is still here to share his knowledge. Okay, any other question for participant? Or you can write on the chat box. In Bahasa, it's all right.
Excuse me, may I?
Yes.
Okay, we are seeing Johnny Helandry. Okay.
Hello, Johnny. Hello. How are you?
Okay, Johnny, please.
Oh, I think
Please unmute your microphone. Okay.
Okay, let me introduce myself. My name is Johnny Helandry.
Hello, Johnny.
I'm doing my PhD right now at the State University of Bengkulu.
Wow.
Well, it's a very prestigious presentation from Mr. Kyle. And actually, I have been in Malaysia as well for 6 years. But I work in tourism industry at Langkawi. Yeah.
Wow.
Langkawi Island.
Right.
Yes, right. I worked there for about 6 years.
Wow.
So
that's good.
Yeah, it's just in tourism. But now I'm same as you, like I'm teaching as well. Okay, my question is, Mr. Kyle.
Yes.
I'm interested in doing my proposal dissertation right now. My proposal entitled the concept of language laboratory in the educational 5.0 era.
Okay.
But so far, when I browse in the internet, I browse in some websites, I haven't found yet what kinds of the concept of language laboratory for 5.0, or maybe you can share with 4.0 first, maybe, because it's hard for me to find these kinds of references.
Okay.
And I would like to, I think I don't want to take this. Actually, it's very challenging. So would you please? Yes. Thank you very much for your answer and moderator. Yes.
Thank you. All right. Now, Johnny, can I just clarify your question? Your topic is about language laboratory in the Education Revolution 5.0. Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. Now, thank you. Okay, I'll be able to answer that one. Okay, because my research is very similar to that as well. But my research takes on a wider scope, but industrial education revolution is just a part of it, because I'm exploring the psychology of students in taking all these changes. Are they able to take it? That's my topic, all right? My PhD topic. Now, so back to your question, all right? I feel, okay, I have different layers of thinking right now at the top of my head. Number one is that industrial revolution, do we really understand it? What does it mean by working with with robots? Okay, it's something that we only can watch from the movies, but hey, it's not happening yet. I am not sure what's happening. But Education 5.0, like what I've said, it's dehumanizing technology. If you have read a lot of papers, I'm very sure you have come across the word dehumanizing the human, the elements of the revolution education. Yeah. And we cannot put a very fixed answer to that. And I think your background will be able to assist you very well. If I were you, I will actually look into this research on a more practical point of view, like what am I doing in school? Because there's no clear answer. 5.0 is not here yet. I mean, it's very imminent. It's just right next door, okay? But are we able to make sure that we meet this criteria? Okay, I think that's a very interesting answer to, interesting question to explore, okay? Now, from my perspective, if I'm gonna look into this language laboratory, I'm not too sure what you're talking about, language laboratory, but from my understanding, you are talking about how students will be able to produce an experiment language. Is that true? The use of language and to
That's right. Yeah.
So if we are talking, go ahead.
In developing the language skills as well. Yeah.
Correct.
Just speaking or listening.
All right. So it's more towards like focus on the skills, focus on the 10 skills that are demanded by the 4.0 first, and find relevance to what does the humanizing part have to do with the 5.0? How can we humanize further? For example, some of it's not complete, right? The top 10 skills look like it's a very exhaustive list. Like, just 10? Seriously? Okay, but not really just 10. How about compassion? I know that falls under EQ, but we're gonna derive further into compassion and maybe the question of ethics. Yeah, I think that's something that you can inculcate in your research to support how Education 5.0 is going to change the dynamics of language laboratory. Yeah, because I teach language as well, and I know the difficulty. These days, students keep talking millennial language, right? Like LOL, I don't know, ROFL, all this kind of stuff. I don't even know what that means. Okay, so sometimes I ask my students, like, what do you mean by FR? For real? I'm like, what? That's a word? So it's interesting, especially when it comes to our field, Mr. Johnny. Linguistics is ever changing. It's like the industrial revolution. And I think maybe you want to take that up as well in your research. I think that's very, very interesting as well. But there's no fixed answer, Mr. Johnny. If you ask me, it's very much exploring what IR really needs, because as far as we are concerned as PhD students, our thesis will actually make a big contribution to the policies, national policies, especially when we're dealing with this revolution. It will be very important. It's more towards like how we're going to implement it, right? Yeah. There's no real answer. It's based on our experience. Yeah.
It's a little bit difficult, not little bit hard. Yeah, it's hard for me to search these kinds of references actually, because I got a friend who would like to do some research like this, and the place or the setting or the venue that will be held or will be done by him will be in Malaysia, in a university of Mara University. But I'm not sure, because when I follow these kinds of topic, I don't know how to emphasize more to technology or more to language. But this is done, PhD doing by him is also in English language. Maybe you have an opinion about this language laboratory for 4.0 or 5.0, in what angle, in what kinds of section or factor that can be researched. So it will be give me some picture. Oh, this you can do this because it relates to this language, not to the technology.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. I think I can maybe give one. I just pop in my head. One answer to that is that maybe you want to look into artificial intelligence. Now, Mr. Johnny, maybe we want to explore a little bit, because like what I've shared earlier, right? Go to this website called conversion.ai, whereby it's actually an artificial intelligence that helps students to write essays. Okay, so if students are able to write essays using websites, using all this software and artificial intelligence. Why do we still need to have a language laboratory? What's the true function of language laboratory? Because it's no longer about past tense, present tense. Guys, we know all this while, correct? When you type in your Word document, if there's grammatical error, they will highlight it. Okay. In fact, we have like new softwares like Grammarly, right? Grammarly, as long as you subscribe for it, they will even teach you how to amend that sentence. So it's language laboratory still relevant in this age and time. What is the true function of language laboratory? Because like what I said, we are no longer interested in present tense, past tense, how to construct sentences, predicate, subject. Okay, we're no longer interested in those stuff. Punctuations, conjunctions, okay, all this kind of stuff. So maybe one area that I think can add criticality to your thesis would be why a language laboratory? How is it relevant? Because everything is well taken care of by robots in the future. And if we are going to continue our online learning, students they'll be able to cheat behind screens, correct? Just typing in words, everything is fixed for them. So language laboratory, is it really relevant?
Yeah, because the government has already provided some language laboratories to some schools. But it has been about hundreds language laboratories had been handed over to some school or universities, and I'm going to see as well. I know that what you said is it's very fantastic, yes, but we are still looking for the optimization of using language laboratory in some universities. Yeah, since the government has already done or provided some the funds or also laboratories, so it has been 10 years. So
right.
my research will be to find out whether or not this still optimal is still being used by the students or not. As you told me, that's correct. Yeah, in this 4.0 or 5.0 era, no longer used. Language laboratory is no longer used. But we want to see how far the optimization.
That's the optimization will relate to what's the trend in the field of language, in the field of linguistics. Like, what is the expansion next? Well, like what I said, if instead of looking into the technicalities for students to pick up language, well, that's basic. They can learn it by themselves. What can they innovate out of that? The creation of language. So that's probably what we'll look into it. For example, I can probably suggest like this language of psychology, right? Because we're talking about humanizing education, correct? Language of psychology, language of business, language of hospitality, which I'll be training, guys, by the way. I'll be training in English for hospitality and hotels later next month. And I'll be talking about that in hospitality field. So how are we producing that? How's it evolving? We need to look into that. But to tell you a quick answer, Mr. Joey, it's that language laboratory is still very minimal at this juncture. Really, what's the use of language laboratory? Kind of blurred. We need to figure it out.
I will figure it out. Thank you. Anyway,
thank you very much for your question.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Johnny.
Thank you, Mr. Johnny. Good luck in your PhD.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay, so we still have time, actually.
Yeah, we still have time, guys. Please do post up your questions if you have any. I would love to discuss with you in regards to this. It's a very interesting topic, especially that we know that it's coming. It's something that we cannot stop, guys. It's quite inevitable. It's definitely inevitable, and we have to do it, like it or not.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Okay, so let's invite another Participant, anyone want to share or discuss with Mr. Kyle? Okay, we still have a time to discuss about his topic and about education 4.0 or to be polymath maybe. Okay, any other question from other participant?
Well, we wait for the participants to come up, Layli, how about you? What do you think about the education 4.0?
Well, actually, I think this is a very sophisticated. Why I say so? Since it will be not equal when we stay in remote area and then in the city about this one, how to apply. Actually, sometimes about the technology, beside the pricey. I think when you say always pricey, so I think that's maybe the how to adapt actually for the some teacher who teach in remote area, how to adapt maybe the teacher itself still hard to make how to use and then how to make some maybe digital platform for their teaching learning to help their teaching learning process. Actually, what is actually the simplest thing I think for the teacher, although maybe you have an experience or no in remote area, I don't know. I believe you are in the city area.
Yeah.
So, what is the simple thing we use, especially for just using smartphone? What do you think about that?
All right. The simplest thing when it comes to smartphone, this is something I have been doing as well. Okay, guys, I do have a YouTube video, YouTube channel. Okay, which it's definitely there, correct? And when it comes to my YouTube channel, at the moment, it's still quite empty because I am actually strategizing. I'm actually using YouTube. I'm starting to use YouTube to teach students. So when it comes to that, it's not a very difficult task. They are still able to access their phone as long as they can download YouTube, they'll be okay, right? But even so, like what I said, to actually be able to manage the education 4.0 is about managing the device. Okay, even if you do not have like, whoa, sophisticated, I don't know, sorry guys, I'm a little bit outdated sometimes when it comes to phones, like some certain apps, right? It will actually help you to do certain tasks, like a reminder or to help you sleep better, things, all this kind of stuff. As long as you get to manage these, that's the skill that you need in the future. It's about managing technology. It's not about being very great in technology, because guys, like it or not, technology, there'll be more apps. I think I read a research recently, at least through the entire world, worldwide, at least 100 over apps are created every single day. Or maybe I'm understating the number. I kind of forgot the number, but apps, it keeps evolving. Guys, are we able to catch up? Can we really claim that we are able to catch up each and every app? Some doesn't even matter in our lives. For example, if you have no problem in sleeping, you don't need to look into the sleeping app, correct? So if we're going to chase that, it's a never-ending race. So don't get into this race with to keep up with the apps. No, that's not the objective. But it's ability to manage your expectations and how you use these apps. That's what's important, I feel. Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite true that we have to manage first our device and then let's go on after that. Like that?
Exactly.
Okay, I got it.
Just now someone raised their hand.
Yeah, we see another participant who has raised hand symbol, please. Other participant. We see. Okay, let me see. Okay, other participant, there is any question for Mr. Kyle? There is one participant.
Yeah, sorry just now.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, Mr. Suradi.
Okay, Mr. Suryadi. Okay, do you still?
Thank you, thank you.
You have many questions.
Yes, I'm so sorry because I think if we talk about education or revolution industry 4.0. So it's the topic is very interesting. So I will ask again to you.
All right, no worries.
Okay, Mr. Kyle.
Yeah.
So we know all about the book from Paulo Freire. Yeah, the title is Pedagogy of the Oppressed. Yeah. You know that?
Pedagogy of what? Sorry.
Pedagogy of the Oppressed by Paulo Freire. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I have not read that yet. Yes, but
okay. On this book, yeah, they call about the banking system education.
Okay. Right.
In which the teacher center, and then the student can improve anything else. So I think it's not appropriate for revolution industry 4.0.
Correct. Yes.
So what is your opinion about in our country, maybe in Malaysia and Indonesia, about this education? So still the banking system or not? Yeah.
I'm afraid I didn't get your question. What do you ask?
Maybe like that. Yeah. So after we have to read about the book Paulo Freire, about the banking system education.
Correct.
So maybe we can look at on our country in Malaysia or Indonesia.
Right.
There is, or they are still, to application the banking system in our education.
Yes,
in
definitely.
Malaysia or in Indonesia.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for the question. I think banking system, it's still not dying yet, but it's slowly phasing out. Okay, slowly we are relying on technology to take on all this tasks, and we're no longer interested in logging in and all those kind of stuff. But that's definitely going to phase out very soon. Very soon, they do not need to learn about that anymore. But one thing's definitely going to come up is that because of the complexity of internet, security is breached. You will start to see that cybersecurity will be the new thing. So no longer they're focusing on, a banking system and all those kind of stuff. No longer. It's about hacking, right? Ethical hacking degrees, coding degrees, and maybe even cybersecurity degrees that will actually be the next one. No longer about that, we are done with that. We're gonna be phased out soon. We don't even care about that. But what's next is all these kind of prevailing topics that will become a hit in the future. That's why I'm not too sure about back in the days, we can still ask students like, what's your ambition? Oh, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer, an accountant, a teacher, and etc. Correct? But now my students have been telling me, oh, teacher, I want to be a data analyst. I want to be a computer scientist. Like, to me, I'm like, what? What are these? Correct? So it's no longer, they are really moving away from the conventional, traditional professions, and which is something good, I feel. Because we need to move on to catch up with the Industrial Revolution. I feel, okay, sorry guys if I'm a little bit pessimistic here, I feel that we are no longer that age to actually go back to catch up with that. But we can only support these. Okay, having said that, I'm sorry, guys, if you are very young, go for it. Okay, but I'm old. So
you are still younger, maybe.
Oh, thank you. Right. So I feel that I'm a little bit too old to take the next degree to actually change this, to catch up with the trend. But what I am doing is I'm supporting this change. And I think that's something very noble, guys. Okay, we as educators, we as teachers. I hope I've answered that question, Mr. Suryadi.
Okay, I think that's enough for Mr. Suryadi. Okay, we still have another.
Terima kasih, Cikgu.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think it's very attractive and interactive. We still have two more. Okay, Mr. Kyle. Okay.
Yes, please do.
Next, please, Miss Nisa Nuranisa. First, you can ask to Mr. Kyle directly. Okay.
Hello, Nisa.
Hello, Mr. Kyle.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Good, I'm a
Oh,
little bit
yeah.
parched. But go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for giving me the time to give you the question. I am a teacher in one of the health university in here. And when we talk about the technology, I think my student know more about the technology. Actually, the medsos, right? The media,
Right.
social media.
Yes.
And I know nothing about that actually. But because we are in this era, we should know about that, right?
Correct.
And I still learn about the technology. And last semester, I tried to use the technology. I mean the application. I teach English actually.
Oh.
Yes, I teach English for the health. Yeah, English for nursing.
Right.
Yes. So I use the English learning website to correct their tasks, actually their nursing care plan. Like Reverso and then Grammarics and then Ginger software, something like that.
Right.
But then actually they know about the application, but then they don't want to use to use it.
Oh.
I asked them, why don't you want to use it? Because I think that the application is really easy to use and then it's easy to understand, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they said, I just don't want to do it, miss. It's really what? It's really difficult to motivate them, actually. So my question is, so how we as a teacher to know that our student is really ready for this era.
Right.
They know
Okay.
about the technology, but how to motivate them?
Right.
That's the problem for me actually as a teacher here.
I see. I see.
Yes.
Okay. Is there any limitations, Nisa? Like, do they have any limitations? Do they need to pay for it, or it's very hard for them to access, or it's just on the excuse that it's very difficult to use it?
Yes, no, it's free. It's for free.
Oh.
No, yes, it's for free. The application is for free.
All right.
Yeah, just their motivation is lack, I think.
I see. I see.
They have no motivation on English actually. They say that English is not important. We are a nurse here, don't need English. They say that like that.
Okay, I
But
need to talk to them.
Yes, but actually they write the nursing care plan in English.
Right.
Yes.
Wow.
I think it's really important for them, but they don't have any motivation to do that.
I see. I see. Okay.
Yes.
Now, you have a very interesting bunch of students. Like most of my students, that's a software. I'm going to go for it because it's going to do my work for me.
Maybe because the what do you call it? The student itself is not too interested on English. I think on my what do we call it?
Your curriculum, your pedagogy.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's only for generals actually. It's only for ESP English for specific purposes, not for
Okay. Now, I can relate to that, Ms. Nisa, because I train. Apart from teaching, I'm also a trainer when it comes to hospitality English. Okay, so I teach hospitality students, actually working people. Okay, that's how to speak English. Like for example, if you go to a hotel, what kind of response would you expect? Like, hello, sir, welcome. You know, those kind of. I teach them in that. I train in that area as well. But I have to say that I'm doing the same thing as you, but I'm a little bit different because these people are working. If they fail this English, they will be like out of job. They're gonna get fired. Okay, so they have to learn English. All right. So my situation is a little bit different, but I can relate to you. Really, what really gets to motivate them in this situation? It's really, hey guys, look. You actually, I feel like what I've been telling you can only act as a guide. We need to start letting go to a certain extent. We need to start letting go. It's really up to the students to pick it up. We are there to guide them. And to force them to use it will kind of defeat the purpose, okay? Because you don't want to always like, hey guys, are you using this? Hey guys, are you using that? It's not a solution in the long term. So to really challenge them to actually build up this linguistic skills, maybe what I suggest like a little bit more experiential learning, or is it just writing paper? What is your approach in this?
Yes, I asked them actually to use that because I think it's really important for them for the next for them to get the work. Because I think in here in Serang, actually in Banten, there are lots of what we call it foreigner.
Yeah.
Yes, we have a lot of foreigner, and some of the hospital needs the nurse or the midwifery who know English like that.
Right.
Yes, that's why I forced them to I forced them to use the application to have the role play as a nurse here, and they can talk with the foreigner, something like that. I have lots of method. I try lots of method actually for my students here.
Yes.
And actually they only interested in role play.
I see. Okay, which is the game part, correct?
Yes, and I told them to make some kind like movie, film, video.
Right.
I told them to make a video that they use the health experience, their health experience, like examining
right
someone, applying the infusion, something like that. And they interested on that. But when I told them to correcting their nursing care plan using that website, they say, no, miss, it's really hard for us.
Okay, maybe I can really give you one idea just popped in my mind is that it is maybe when it comes to that, because probably they don't have the accountability for their work. Maybe they feel like, okay, you know, my teacher's going to mark it anyways. There's no accountability because that's what my lecturer is going to look into, and that's going to be corrected, and I'm fine later. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
The question of accountability, if they actually get them to publish it online so the world to see, maybe it's a question of face then, correct?
Yes.
Maybe they will be more attentive to their language use. I think that maybe accountability would be a very important aspect in this case, rather than, you know, no matter how we force students, like my students, they were like, okay, you know what, it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to do the exam anyways, right? And actually, I'm really sorry to say this, Nisa. In Malaysia, there was one newspaper article that says that Malaysia's English literacy rate, ability to speak English, it's the worst in Southeast Asia. It's
really?
Yes, there is an article, like a few years ago, I think 2 years ago. Yeah. There's an article saying that Malaysia has one of the lowest English literacy rate in Southeast Asia, which is very sad. But why? And then when they got interviewed, is that students feel that they don't need it. There's no accountability to it. You know, they always fall it back to their mother tongue because it's something comfortable, something familiar. So I feel to solve your problem is give them accountability. Like, for example, in the past, I used to run a website whereby I really want them to take pride, whereby they will write me articles and I'll post it up. And then they get to share with their friends. When the question of face is on the stake, like I is like, huh? What article is this? I is on a website. Okay, then maybe it will pinch them a little bit.
Yes.
Because everything now is still within the classroom. They are within their bubble. They're safe. Yeah, but if you release it out there, hey.
Yes, they know nothing about out there.
Yeah, if you release it out there, hey, there's the entire world's gonna be able to read your material. Do you want to write I is?
Yes. Actually, I give them the video. when you have work out there, you will need English. I said like that. And they said, yes, never mind, miss, never mind. We will work in local here.
Yeah, like me, I do my YouTube channel.
Yes.
I shot it for so many times, okay, just to make it perfect. Okay. So yeah, maybe you can use the accountability. But thank you so much for the question.
Thank you for your suggestion, sir.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Joko, sorry to keep you waiting. Do we still have time?
I think we still have 5 minutes, and the last question for Joko, you want to answer maybe?
Yes, Mr. Joko, would you like to come give me your question?
10 minutes more, it's all right? Okay, so Mr. Joko, Pak Joko Budiarto, you want to ask something to Mr. Kyle? We still have, maybe you are the last question.
Yeah, please do.
Mr. Joko, please. Hello? Are you there, Mr. Joko?
Mr. Joko?
Joko Budiarto, SPD raised his hand. Okay. Are you there?
While we wait for Mr. Joko, guys, I would like to really share with you my YouTube channel. I would really appreciate it if you can subscribe to it, okay? Because that's where I have actually a series that I've prepared. I'm still shooting it at the moment, that I will share more about education, like how to teach. This is something that I feel I'm so passionate about this area, and all the time I'm just thinking of created content, but I don't have a lot of time, really. So guys, if you can subscribe to my YouTube channel here that I've attached in the chat room, I would really appreciate it. And from there, I will share with you even more in the future. Maybe you can even type your comments there to share what you think about my content and how we can improve this together. I feel that we all need to work together, isn't it? Guys, that's my link there. Oh, Mr. Joko just went off.
No. Okay, you can go. It's okay.
All right. Okay. Oh, probably I've spoken too long. I'm sorry, Mr. Joko. I'm really, really sorry.
It's all right.
Yeah. So is there any questions, any other questions from the floor, please?
Any others for participant?
I'm again, ma'am.
Oh, hi, Joni.
Yes, right.
Okay,
yeah.
It's okay. For the last, I think maybe Mr. Kyle, it's okay.
Yeah, no problem. I have all the time in the world, guys. It's all right.
Well, I'm very sorry, Mr. Kyle. I'm just curious about my questions to you this morning, because in my conclusion, correct me if I am got mistaken. So the concept of language laboratory for 5.0 it will not exist. Is it correct?
What does not exist?
It will not exist. It means that since 5.0 will work for humanizing or something like that. So
correct.
Language laboratory is no longer used in conclusion.
I wouldn't say that. It really depends on what your language laboratory is for. Because as far as I'm concerned, language laboratory that I know, it's not about the acquisition of language, but it's about the production of language. For example, when they actually test out, one project that I know of is that they actually use language to heal, which was a project that was... I'm sorry, I cannot recall which university or which school talked about that. Okay, language to heal, all right? That's very interesting. That's bordering between language and psychology, right? So when they are using that kind of experiment, yes, then we will see, okay, that's a humanizing part of language because we are relating it back to how language is serving mankind. And they're using a laboratory to test it out. Then that would be something very interesting to explore because, like, because of the pandemic, a lot of people passed away. It is a need, okay? There's a need. And then, therefore, language laboratory used for those purposes will definitely get the support. We'll definitely see the use of it. But if you're talking about language laboratory to acquire language, maybe students going to put on headphones and they're going to listen to conduct the lesson. I feel that that is not necessary anymore. I felt that that's a little bit behind the trend. Yeah. So it depends on what we're using that language laboratory for. I'm not saying that is not useful, but what is it used for? That's the question. If we can tailor it towards the education 5.0, then good, right? Then the language laboratory will definitely make sense.
Yeah.
Therefore,
yes, but you are correct. Therefore, when I browsed in the internet, I didn't find the result of the concept of language laboratory in 5.0. So yeah. Thanks anyway for last word sharing, and I do understand right now. So these kinds of research maybe should be fixed and should be repaired, maybe, right?
Correct.
So anyway, do you have any kinds of suggestion or recommendation that's about website or kinds of references that relates to the language laboratory, so I could find it? Do you have any references or recommendation for that?
Unfortunately, I don't have, but you can definitely look into the evolution of linguistics. Like, I'm not too sure what language you are targeting at, but there are certain databases. I just cannot pull it at the top of my head. I used to study it when I was doing my master's, but I don't actively use it anymore because I do not do that much research on language. I do more research on education. So, but if you want to know more, you definitely get to look at all those pragmatics. Okay, the area of pragmatics, or the evolution of grammar is also very interesting, because grammar has a lot to do with psychology, actually. The psychology of grammar and the, the pragmatics, the syntax and pragmatics of linguistics. If you look into all these two different areas and how it evolves to target different purposes, I think that's a very good field that you can start with. The evolution of language, is it in line or in tandem with the sophistication of the Industrial Revolution? Is something that I think you can hit on, because evolution of language, it's because of human beings and how human beings interact, and interact has definitely to do with this Industrial Revolution. And I feel that you can definitely look into those areas. But I'm sorry, there are a lot of websites these days. I cannot point you to one, but if you Google, definitely you have more than what you want.
That's right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'm trying to find evolution of linguistic, right?
Yes, syntax is a very interesting area. Syntax and pragmatics, these two, I feel that they are really, because I'm interested in psychology. I love psychology. And for that reason, I'm more sensitive to this kind of aspects. So you can definitely look into the evolution of linguistics in tandem with the Industrial Revolution or the Education Revolution 5.0, if that's what you're looking for.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So much, right?
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Johnny. You are very active, okay, in our webinar. Okay, I think Mr. Kyle, before we go and close for this one, do you want to say for closing statement, maybe, or sharing about your YouTube channel?
Okay, all right, guys, I've actually posted another time on the YouTube channel onto the group chat. If you can subscribe to my channel, I would really appreciate it. I need subscribers. Okay, no, I'm doing subscribers. The reason why I want to do all this kind of stuff, because I felt like I need to catch up, right? Guys, that's the spirit as educators. It's how much can we do when we are teaching only a class? Yeah, in fact, I'm so honored to be invited as a speaker for this international webinar, because I get to talk to 400 people or more at the same time, right? I think that is something that we need to embrace. Okay, Education 5.0 is not about, we need to cross personal challenges. We need to cross borders. And that's why we need to look into that. Okay, and me doing all this YouTube channel and things like that, well, I'm not gonna lie, it's for me to get famous sometimes to be a YouTuber. It's the glamour of it. I'm not gonna lie, but it is about, I keep asking myself this question: how much lives can I change in my lifetime? If I'm gonna go to school every single day, I'm gonna change like what, 400 students a year, maybe? Okay, if I'm lucky, maybe 400. If I'm not, then 100, 200. It's not enough. As educators, if we want to really channel this change, we need to speak to a wider audience to let everyone understand that this is coming. All right, this is coming. And because we are teachers as well, we uphold the integrity of education. We want to be proud of our profession. Therefore, this is important, guys. Look into the Education 5.0, and please subscribe to my channel, of course. All right. And look into the changes of 5.0. Look at the, sorry, I should say this. Embrace the changes of 4.0 first, okay? It's here, okay? It's right in front of our eyes, okay? You're gonna hit
Amazing,
the wall.
sir.
Exactly. You are hitting the wall, is right in front, okay? Let's embrace this one first. Okay, but of course, guys, do not lose sight of what's ahead, because we need to be more far-sighted. We are educators. We need to be proud of our profession. We need to do this. So if we're going to put that 5.0 ahead, which is the next school that we are going to go for, like Mr. Johnny, doing a very good research here, all right, doing the entire nation, in fact, the entire world, the entire Indonesia, a favor to change the geographic of education. I think that's something very meaningful. And guys, like what I said, 5.0, 6.0, 7.0, teachers are still relevant. We will not go out of job. Yay. So, and teachers will play a very important role. And that's what we need to embrace. And guys, I would like to leave you with this note that we are very proud that we are educators. I'm very proud that we're all called educators, because we truly are doing something very important for the future generation. But how are we going to play this game? You decided. It's your game plan. Are you going to follow the conventions? Are we going to play together with the game plan of 6.0, 7.0, 8.0, and etc.? It's our call. So let's do it, guys. Let's make this change for the future generation. I think it's very meaningful, and definitely the guys upstairs will reward you. I believe so. I totally believe so. Okay, but thank you very much, guys. I really hope that you understand and enjoy my talk today. I really enjoyed your presence.
Okay, thank you so much. Give a applause for Mr. Kyle, please.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, you're very outstanding speaker.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we finally come to the end of this seminar. But before I close this seminar, I would like to draw some conclusion what the presenter is saying. So I think that is very clear and very crystal clear. I think that Mr. Kyle having a close statement. So we just get the 3 points is we as educator, teacher, parent, and education stakeholder have to be ready together for facing the challenge in educational 4.0 and be ready for the changing, and educator must be ready to be a polymath to answer the challenging 4.0, 5.0, 6.0, and later. Okay, I think that's for the conclusion for Mr. Kyle's presentation. Thank you so much, Mr. Kyle. So it's very attractive, informative, and there are very active participation for participants. So once more time, please give applause for Mr. Kyle. Okay. See you. Bye. See you on the next project, Mr. Kyle.
And ladies and gentlemen, we have to also thank our moderator, Miss Lady. Thank you so much for everything.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you, Lady. Thank you so much.
Mr. Kyle, I hopefully you can come to
Thank you so much,
Don't forget to
Mr. Kyle.
Definitely, I
Mr. Kyle.
See you next time.
And we can
Sate Bandung, Indonesia.
Oh, yes, please. Thank you so much.
Especially in Makassar.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much, everyone.
Bye, and have a nice day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So please, ladies and gentlemen, now I'll be back to the beautiful MC today for Mrs. Intan. So this is yours, please, Mrs. Intan.
Thank you, Mrs. Lely. Awesome presentation. Thank you very much to our keynote speaker, Mr. Kyle, who has given us knowledge. Please give applause to Mr. Kyle. You're so awesome, sir. Hopefully it will be useful for all of us. I mean, once again, we would like to thanks to Director of Postgraduate University of Sultan Ageng Tirtayasa, Dr. Aan Aspianto MH. Thank you very much. Professor Dr. Kartina AMMP as the Vice Director of Postgraduate University of Tirtayasa, and also Dr. Udi Samanhudi as the Head of International Office. Thank you so much. Professor Soleh, Dr. Nurul as the Coordinator and Secretary of Educational Doctoral Program. Thank you very much for your support and attendance. To all participants, don't forget to fill out the list of attendance and evaluation in the chat box for this webinar in order to get a certificate. The link attendance will open until 3 p.m. West Indonesian time. Mr. Kyle, thank you so much. You may leave from the room. Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys. Wish you all the best. Keep safe, and I hope to see you guys again in the future. All right. Thank you.
Yes,
Bye-bye.
thank you, sir.
See you. Bye-bye.
And also Mr. Aan, Miss Kartina, Mr. Udi, Mr. Soleh, and Miss Nurul. Thank you so much and stay healthy. Participants, it's time for door prize. The section will be led by Mr. Firman. Please lead the session, Mr. Firman.
Yes, sir.
Ya, oke, terima kasih Dr. Lely, terima kasih Ibu Intan ya atas kerjasamanya pada siang hari ini. Ya, tadi kita udah seminar internasional ya berbahasa Inggris, sekarang kita berbahasa Melayu. Encik Tam, ya, ya betul-betul serono hari ini seminar internasional ya bahasa Melayu. Iya. Oke, untuk apa namanya voucher untuk peserta pada siang hari ini, kami akan memberikan beberapa kriteria. Yang pertama adalah peserta yang teraktif, kemudian peserta yang selama kegiatan webinarnya full ya, kameranya full on kamera gitu ya. Baik, yang pertama nanti akan dikirim ya, ada vouchernya dikirim melalui nomor HP-nya masing-masing. Tunggu saja nanti panitia yang akan bekerja. Yang pertama yang paling aktif, tepuk tangan dong untuk Pak Joni Hendriadi. Masih ada bersama kami Pak Joni?
Ya, masih Pak.
Oke, terima kasih Pak Joni ya. Nanti ditunggu Pak Joni.
Ya.
Kemudian yang kedua, Ibu Sri Novi dari Rangkas Bitung masih bersama kami. Oh, kalau nggak aktif berarti kita cut ya, kita cut. Iya. Kemudian Ibu Nisa Nur Anissa masih bersama kami. Ayo, udah hilang, berarti cut. Oke. Berarti diborong Pak Hendri semua ya vouchernya. Woi. Baik, kemudian kami sangat mengapresiasi beberapa peserta yang jauh ya, yang di luar dari Provinsi Banten, seperti Ibu.
Saya masih Pak, masih di sini.
Oh iya, masih ya. Oh iya ya.
Iya dong, stay.
Sudah dicatat sama panitia, Ibu Nisa ya.
Siap, siap.
Nisa,
Terima kasih ya Pak.
Joni Hendriadi. Kemudian
Ya,
Ibu Sindike Henti Permana, Palembang, ada enggak? Palembang, ayo ada. Oh, udah ini ya. Udah out. Yang kedua dari Jambi, Ibu Neti Zulneti. Masih ada?
Ada Pak, ada Pak.
Oke, siap. Apa kabar Jambi, Ibu?
Kabar baik Pak, alhamdulillah.
Cukup bagus ya diterima di Jambi ya.
Alhamdulillah Pak.
Oke, siap. Nanti dikirim Ibu sama panitia. Kemudian dari Makassar, Sri Rahayu Ningsih. Ada Ibu? Dari STKIP YPUP Makassar, nggak ada. Seterusnya dari Mila Sari dari Universitas Pordekok Bukit Tinggi. Ada Ibu? Oh, nggak ada. Kemudian dari Aceh Tengah, Murtada SIP MSM. Enggak ada lagi. Terus yang jauh lagi nih, Rahmat Hidayat Boli, Universitas Gorontalo. Rahmat Hidayat Boli. Oh, udah keluar semua. Tinggal berapa sih partisipan? 205. Oke, kemudian Iswah Yudi dari Kota Sukabumi, MTS Muhammadiyah 1 Kota Sukabumi. Hilang juga. Baik, kemudian Enik Ekawati dari Kabupaten Jombang.
Ada, masih ada Pak.
Ada, alhamdulillah. Mana orangnya?
Ini.
Pak Yus kasih pin, Pak Yus. Mana nih orangnya? Oh ya ada, terima kasih. Bagaimana kabarnya Bu? Bisa diterima dengan baik?
Alhamdulillah, sehat.
Iya.
Alhamdulillah bisa.
Ini dari Jombang ini, Ibu dari Jombang. Dari Bengkulu tadi udah ya. Terima ya Bu, nanti ya Bu ya. Akan dikirim oleh panitia ya Bu ya. Ya. Kemudian yang terakhir dari Kota Bengkulu, Nudiatul Fitriani. Nudiatul Fitriani ada, Ibu? Masih ada sini ya. Halo. Ibu Nudiatul Fitriani SPD SMPN 20 Kota Bengkulu. Masih ada ya? Masih ada orangnya mungkin lagi ini ya. Iya. Oke, terima kasih ya. Demikianlah sekitar 10 voucher yang akan kami berikan kepada rekan-rekan partisipan pada pagi hari menjelang siang ini. Terima kasih banyak atas partisipasinya ya. Dari jauh-jauh udah masuk ke gabung bersama kami di Untirta dalam seminar internasional. Oke, terima kasih. Saya kembalikan kepada Ibu Intan.
Thank you, Mr. Firman, for the door prize. Finally, we come to the last session in this event, that is closing. Let's close this event by saying Hamdalah. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin.
From the depths of my heart, I apologize for my mistakes in presenting this event. Thank you very much for your attention. Stay healthy and see you at the next webinar. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much all participants. Terima kasih Pak Joni.
Sama-sama Bu.